Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, January 18th, and as the title suggests, the party is over, at least for Party City, which is, I think, looking to borrow $200 million to help it go through bankruptcy protection. So, interesting stuff for any of you guys who are playing that weird penny stock. Other than that, I know we have a low listener count today, same as yesterday. Seems like there's a ton of issues at Reddit sending out notifications. They actually started about, I think, Friday, so they didn't fix it over the weekend. So calls on working on at Reddit puts on Reddit itself. That's all I've got for today. How about you guys? What do you got?
For what it's worth, Reddit is one of the few companies that pays New York level salaries, regardless of where you actually are, and they do happen to have a strong remote work culture. So for any of the newly laid off Swedes, software engineers from the various tech firms, Reddit may very well be a comfortable place to land.
And again, with these stupid Louis Vuitton NFT spam posts, just report them. For some reason, they have it set up where the bots will automatically downvote any critical votes, and they, for some reason, can't get downvoted themselves. So it's just report it to us, please.
But other than that, I mean, meta stuff out of the way. What's going on today?
Got Scald in the audience there and Rad the Reptile with their hands up.
Oh, the market's doing so good this week. I gotta re-roll some of my covered calls. All my rig is doing really well. SoFi is doing really well, so I'm just gonna be re-rolling some covered calls on them.
You know who's not doing well? Party City.
Not touching that one.
It's my party, and I will cry if I want to.
Speaking of crying, Latter Day, you said you were going to do some DD yesterday on Walmart as an exclusive undercover mystery shopper. I was just curious, what was your findings?
We were so slammed yesterday, I didn't have a chance to focus on any of that, but I didn't see any big hallways full of, overflowing inventory. I'll have to check the parking lot when I go today.
Thank you for your service.
I'm just adding some automod code to whack all those Louis Vuitton posts. Very sorry that you guys got spammed with that.
And just let you guys know that if you're looking for a Louis Vuitton bag, there's cheaper bags out there that you can buy. And I digress. Speaking of China, if you are looking at BABA, BABA has some great stock action right now. It's going up pre-market. Looking to get into DIDI, because I saw some taxis here in Japan. And yeah, that's about it.
Excellent, DD. But you would be remiss to end that off without saying also that our one and favorite investor, Ryan Cohen, is deeply invested into the stock. He likes the stock.
Well, I figured you could be the smartest guy in the room today. Opinion? Sorry about that.
Well, I'm always the smartest guy in the room until Hardy walks in. But it's very interesting that there's a lot of people saying, oh, this is yet another distraction. So I just want to make it clear. This is a distraction. You should all invest in Bed Bath and Alibaba and short GameStop. And with that out of the way,
he slipped up. His handlers are going to call him back. He almost did Bed Bath and Beyond. You heard it, folks. Don't let him oppress you.
Well,
exactly.
I think it's because he
opinion.
knows there's an acquisition on the way. It's going to be Bed Bath and Baba.
He was reading from next week's script. Oh, somebody get him.
Oh no.
I did want to point out that SPY is crossing down below delta neutral, or crossed down below delta neutral yesterday. So I'm wondering how much more upward momentum there is. I'm looking at the moment to get March 17 SQQQ $43, $44 calls for around $3 or less each. So it'll take a little bit of falling to get there, but we may very well see that coming days. The usual gamma max and delta neutral plays have been put up, and not too much excitement there. The most interesting bit probably would be Lyft or Marvel, the chip design company behind most of your consumer electronics, think network switches and GSM radios. Blackstone, which has been a favorite play, which brought about the wrinkle brain stuff almost a year ago now, is also another interesting put. Looking at March 17, $85 puts for $4.95 or less. It's only because they're fairly consistent at repeating whatever pattern is established with regard to gamma max or delta neutral. Also, as a quick response to the usual tickers of interest post that I put up, I had ChatGPT rewrite it in a way that might be more accessible to the apes. Please give it a look over and see if it's worthwhile.
Just want to let you guys know that Jiffy Smiffy said PPI came in. Expected was 6.8%. Actual PPI was 6.2%. Just learned that in the Wall Street Bets Discord. That's right. If you haven't joined the Wall Street Bets Discord, come on over. You'll see the link in the comment section, pinned with opinions, comments here on the show.
Thank you. Yeah, and that PPI print is why SPY is printing, and maybe it'll be the reason why Hardy ends up buying SQQQ.
Exciting. I feel like the room is a little bit, the energy is a little bit low for Wednesday. I understand that right now things are a little bit questionable. Luckily, we have Hardy back on the show. It's been a minute since Hardy's been here with his great plays. Thanks for coming in with those and with your advice and everything. If we could just turn up the energy just a little bit before I fall asleep over here in Japan.
I think I got a way to help turn up that energy with some daily Tard astrology. We got a trajectory from yesterday going on a bearish trajectory still, and another trickster moon. That trickster moon yesterday was a little tricky fucker. It tricked me. It was actually green day yesterday. I thought it was going to be bearish. So maybe we might have another tricky day today. Aside from Tard astrology, your boy opened his SoFi options account yesterday and officially got his first contract. That's right. Your boy Mass Gamer is officially trading options. As of yesterday, I got my first contract on, guess what? None other than Lucid. That's right, LCID. I got a $10 strike call for March 3rd, shortly after their earnings as well as their Q4, and I'm going to trade that sometime between February 22nd and February 27th, anytime before or after that, so that way I could collect the premium if it doesn't print or whatever. If it doesn't, whatever, that's just like a throwaway play for me. This is all in effort to get the price to go down, because I know if I buy calls, the price is going to go up. It's not going to go up. So I'm going to have extra money on the side to throw into shares for when the price goes down, so that way I could average my cost basis down.
And that is today's Tard Astrology, sponsored by Party City, where the party never. Oh.
Listen,
You
man,
are
when they
thank
merge,
you for that.
when they merge with Bed Bath & Beyond and we get Bed Bath & Beyond parties, you all are going to be so jealous at the money that's going to be made, all right?
That is the love child that would need to be drowned in its bathwater.
Exactly. But this message is brought to you by Babies Do Matter. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, just let you guys know that today it looks like it will be an interesting day. That's all I want to say. This Vixen the Spy has no direction at all. It is literally just playing with my emotions right now.
Wait, how can you say the spy has no direction? It's been super straight up for the past couple days, past week even.
I should preference that by saying pre-market. Sorry, I do apologize.
No, all good, all good. And in pre-market, I think we're seeing green on all the memes, but that's not particularly surprising. I feel like they tend to move now with SPY, so
Eat to the moon.
Opinion, I've got a question for you. I've been recently playing this game called Fallout 4, and there are radio stations in the game, and one of them is called Diamond City Radio. And was that person voiced by you? Because it sounds a lot like you when they're talking about news.
no comment.
Opinion is the guy before he gains his confidence.
Oh, wait, what?
Wow.
Okay, harsh. But I guess 8:45 a.m. is a good as time as any to get roasted.
Oh man, that was savage. That was not where I was going with it. But okay, BITI. Let's talk about it. So I want to buy BITI calls because I think Bitcoin's going down. And so I think BITI is going up. I think it's going to go from $30 back to around $40 where it was at before this recent Bitcoin pump. And here's the problem that I have. There's no liquidity on this options chain. So any market makers listening into the morning talks, if you could help me out with that, that would be great. That's all I got to say.
And Reptile, don't look now. Your ape is starting to jump up.
To the moon. I totally believe in ape as a legitimate thing. It's happening. You can hear my enthusiasm in my voice and my true belief in ape.
For the guy who liked BITI, why don't you just go short a mining stock or something like that? Because this thing doesn't, I don't know, it seems to have some decay or something. As much as Bitcoin's been underperforming, it doesn't move very well with it, does it?
You can buy puts on BITO instead of calls on BITI.
All right.
Oh. Might have some wires here, guys. BITO and then shorting all the mining companies like Hut 8, Mara, and the other Bitcoin miners. I like it.
I mean,
That is
Bitcoin,
playing with scalpels right now, so be careful.
If you're bearish on Bitcoin, why not MicroStrategy?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's true. Yep.
Exactly. That's true too.
Go for it, Scald.
Bitcoin's showing upward momentum today, Scald, so be careful on that.
What does MicroStrategy do with regards to Bitcoin?
They hold a lot of it. So MicroStrategy used to be a computer services firm or like a consultancy. Now they are effectively a leveraged Bitcoin fund because they took on debt to buy Bitcoin, and they're using the business to pay down to make the payments on that debt, service it.
Do you think they're selling options against their Bitcoin position?
What do you mean? Options are handled by a third. by the market, not by the company.
I mean, like, do you think they're doing like covered calls or whatever on their position?
I mean, Michael Saylor is like the Bitcoin maximalist, so I'd be surprised if he's willing to cap his upside like that.
I'm wondering if this Bitcoin run-up has more to do with the fact that these are people buying back in after doing some tax loss harvesting in December.
That's right. It's just like exactly. It's just like the S&P and all these stocks going back up in January. I think it's the same dynamic.
Is
Well,
that typical of? Sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say, so Hardy, there's no wash sale on Bitcoin, so they could buy back immediately if they wanted to. If they sold in December, they could just buy right back the minute after they sold.
Correct, but what about the funds that supposedly hold Bitcoin? So for example, someone held an ETF for Bitcoin in their retirement account, which can't invest in Bitcoin directly.
But how big are those funds typically? I don't think those are
No
very
idea,
big.
but that at least for me is the most plausible explanation for that drop early November, and now the rise in the new year. I don't have a better explanation.
Yes. Yeah, there's tax savings in every investment from that strategy. It's not just the wash sale that applies to it.
Well, the wash sale rule, I think, applies within the same asset class. So theoretically, if I were to buy and sell the same business within 30 days, however unlikely, that wash sale rule would still apply.
Correct.
So for those of you who have been in the market for some time now, is this typical that stocks rally come the new year?
It depends on the strength of the market versus the volume of tax loss harvesting in Q4.
And the one thing that was mentioned earlier is that usually after an election cycle, which we had in November, there's usually a increase in, or like a rise in the S&P afterwards, like the 6 months afterwards. So this could be part of that too.
I know a lot of people will put money in at the start of the year because they have new room in their registered accounts. So maybe they spend it right away.
Also,
and then you have all
go ahead.
Congress critters being sworn in and learning all the insider trading stuff from their peers.
The market also tends to like it when the government is split to some degree. It makes it less likely for things to get passed and things to change too much.
Who else had a play to share? Lebowski, I know you raised your hand earlier, and same with FJS.
I don't really have a play per se, but I sold some GameStop calls yesterday. Covered.
Nice. What's the logic for that?
I've been selling them for a while now. Just selling at the $23.75 for February for $2.
$23.75. So specific.
Yeah. Well, I like I was looking at the $22.50 and the $25, I think it was. But I chose.
It's interesting that it's at a 75% or 75-cent price.
Probably because of the split. They did a 4-for-1 split, right?
Yeah, it's only for the February 17th positions too.
They were probably there for a while, the options, I think. Or not? I mean,
that would make sense. That the February 17th were the first ones that came out.
I'm watching PBR right now. They ran up to just over 1150 on the short term perspective. They've corrected back down to the $10 range. So I might enter a bearish play. I'm not sure what strikes yet, but they're on my watch list for today.
Good morning. I got a play. The play is Ally Financial. They report Friday morning. I am going to enter my position puts on Thursday before market closed. Ally Financial specializes in used car financing, investing, mortgages, and a boatload of their businesses comes from originating and servicing. And I think the numbers are going to be down again. There's not an influx in consumers buying used cars, as everyone knows. So they're going to be originating less loans. The last 2 times they reported earnings, they missed it. They were down 7% that morning. They were reporting. So I think they're trading at $27. I'm going to be buying puts at 23, 24, and 25 for expiration on Friday.
On the con side of doing that, Caesar, they bought.
They bought.
Did he mute himself or?
They got him. Oh damn, they got him.
They got him.
Agent 152 come in. Yep.
They did allow 300. They did allow 300 million in bad debts last
credit provision
in last quarters.
Hey, helicopter.
Yeah. So
we missed like everything you said, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'd be careful because yesterday they allowed not yesterday. Yeah, there was a news story yesterday. They bought $4 billion of loans from Carvana / Drive Time. I don't know who they originated from, but they did go through Carvana. So they're adding a lot of business loans that are a lot of personal loans for cars that actually were producing, I think, at least 6 payments, maybe 12. So they've added some of those that are high interest rates to their portfolio. That won't report on this report as earnings yet, but it'll be on the, in their forward-looking statements. They also allowed 300 million last financial statement for allowance for bad debts. So if they didn't experience a lot of the bad debts yet or write off a lot of the accounts yet, they're going to have that to apply back or to still bank toward future bad debts. So I don't see a huge drop off for them this report yet, but I've been wrong before. But being that they just bought $4 billion worth of loans, I think they're okay on their financial side for cash on this report. So I'd be careful about how far you go with the Ally play. It's just a little more into it. Do a little more before then. I'm not saying don't do it, but it looks like they're solid if they just put that much money into buying all those loans.
I'll have to see what loans there are because usually there's different tiers for them. Like there's S, A, B, C tier. So yeah, the receivables are good. It's just one of my friends, the underwriter, they're not originating loans this month. The last 3 months, it's been very slow. So I do think that they're gonna miss earnings, and just trying to do a little play because for the last year they've been on the downstream. They haven't gone up in pricing. So if they miss earnings, hopefully we could profit off of it. So that's my play for today.
What's the ticker on that dog shit company?
ALLY. I'm buying puts on Thursday for Friday earnings call Monday morning, and then I'll probably jump on some February calls as well, so I could get some IV and just get rid of them as well. So ALLY, they report Friday morning.
We'll look into that. I might follow you on that.
I don't know. Their PE's like 4.
Yeah, I mean, but everybody and their mom's been applying for credit over the past 3 months.
The car loan business, the car business in general, for me, we have 200 used cars in our lot. That's all we do is used. December was down. I did probably, I want to say 50% to 45% of what I usually do every December, at least since COVID. This month, though, I'm on pace to sell 20 cars when I sold 18 last January. The store is on pace to do more than we did last January, but a majority of the cars I'm selling aren't the $40,000, $50,000 cars. They're the $10,000, $20,000 cars. So the finance reserves isn't there as much, in which
there's not even a financial reserve that's a flat, like $100 flat when it's that low.
Yeah, but the hard part about it all is they bought all those loans, so they're going to be one of the ones that are bringing in the income. So I don't see a lot of loans going bad from what I hear from my reps. They've all allowed for it, especially Capital One allowed 1.7 billion. They've allowed a lot for bad debts, but they're not writing off a ton of loans yet. So that's what I hear through the grapevine. I'll try to dig a little bit more. So I don't see a lot of losses coming from them. But you're right, they're not adding a lot of the new business. But this month it started to turn, is what I'm saying. December was bad. November was slow. January is actually showing to be better. So I'd be careful about any plays against the car dealers / finance banks. Credit cards seem like they're selling. I got Carvana, not Carvana. I got whatever that stupid online credit score places sending me notices every day that people want to issue me credit. That's what sucks when you have a good credit score. But at the same time, it's like they're all out there trying to drum up the business. I don't think the lending has fallen off. I don't see a lot of turn downs where there used to be approvals. I see, in fact, more approvals. Everybody's trying to get their piece of the pie right now.
Received. Helicopter, do you go to pool parties in Vegas?
Nah, I live in Pennsylvania, so I don't go a lot out to the West Coast. In fact, I don't think I've ever been west of Colorado. So no, I don't. Sorry.
Maybe it's more like car shows.
I was just gonna say you're missing out, man. They got the pool over there at the MGM. That's dope. They always have like DJs and stuff. When I was there, it was a long time ago, but LMFAO was there playing. Just nuts.
Skull, that was you on MTV?
When I was a younger man. Now I'm an old guy. I sit around, don't do that kind of stuff.
I'm still looking at more oil today, folks. It's down to $10 again. I am bullish on natural gas from this point going forward. I know there was a freeze in the lines, was the news story today, dropping it down. But that's actually I think that will create more demand. I just see oil as bullish natural gas only heading up from here. I'm going to do shares. I'm not going to do options. I just saw what happened with coal. It went from $10 up to 42, and it's still at 42 now. I'm out of all my coal positions. I got out at 30, but I'm looking to get into more oil because I believe $9 or $10 will be the bottom, and that's when we start getting a little better. Definitely not financial advice on that one.
Do you know of any natural gas plays that have good yield? Like I was looking at Cheniere and it's less than like 1% dividend payout. Do you know of any, like Boyle doesn't pay anything?
Yeah, and I'm not going to stay in Boyle. I mean, ETFs, if you hold them long enough, they end up dying down in reverse splitting. So I buy the shares when I think it's going to go up, and I get out of the shares when it does. So, I definitely not looking at anything long term on the ETFs. Anybody know any good natural gas?
Hold on, I'm confused. I thought your play was to buy Boyle, like to buy the underlying, and then also like this is ETF, not ETN. So there's no like decay or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm definitely just buying shares. I'm not holding them long term. I'm a short term on it. 2 to 3 months.
No, you're right. You're right. Boyle is leverage. My bad. You're right. Got it.
Carvana news yesterday did keep it up to 750 or 740s. I don't think any of it's good news. By the time February 22nd comes around, I see the bad financial statement again. They did put out a poison pill basically yesterday on their share holding that if you hold 5%, you're guaranteed something. I read through it. I didn't like it, but do your research on it. I'm definitely going to stay in some Carvana puts, probably with the first week or second week of March dates to allow the bad financial statement to soak in again.
Helicopter, where did you get that information where Carvana sold the servicing loans to Ally? I would like to look into that.
It's about as an 8K. Look on the SEC filing. That and the poison pill were 2 filings yesterday.
Cool. Thanks.
We appreciate your insights, OK Helicopter, and reading actual SEC forms. That's a level I don't think we're used to around here.
I'll actually give MBev credit on that one. He It was either him or Tendy. I'm sorry, one of you two. I'm sorry, it was during the call yesterday. One of you two actually looked that up, and then I went and looked it up. So I appreciate them because I get my information usually from people on here or on maybe on Twitch or Yahoo.
Can you repeat the thing again? Those 8K filings are gold if you'll take the time to read through them.
Can you repeat the play again? Okay, helicopter.
For which one? For Boyle or for Carvana?
Oh, please.
Okay. Boyle, I'm just buying shares in the 10s, even down to the 9s. Every 50 cents it goes down, I'm going to buy more shares. I put about 30 to 40% that I thought I would put in at 10. I bought another 10% of what I'm willing to put in at 10. If it goes down every 50 cents, I'm going to buy another 20% of what I expect to put in. I just believe that natural gas peaks January, February, March this year, up to, I think Boyle goes from 10. If I had to guess, I'm going to be comfortable at 30 again, just like I did with cold. And if it goes up to 40, hey, God bless it. I'm in and I'm out over about a month and a half. I think maybe 2 months at the most. And for the Carvana play, I'm looking for first or second week of March. I'm driving right now, so I don't remember what I wrote down. After these 8Ks wear off here a little bit, I'm definitely going to be looking under 5, probably even the 250 puts for the first or second week of March. Once that financial statement hits and they're out of shareholder equity on the financial statement and they don't really have much to look forward to, the auctions that are going to be on their financial statement will be through the end of December, I believe. Yeah, I think it's through the end of December. So their financial report won't include January's a little bit of pickup here. So I do think it goes down under 5 for sure, possibly under the 250 with how bad it's going to look. They have like a $3 wide margin on their expected revenues on TD Ameritrade, from like $4 a share loss to $1 a share loss, with the expected amount being like 260 or 280. I think they come in the 3s or even the low 4 range of their losses for the quarter.
Okay, helicopter. Also wanted to add where when I used to be in the finance department, the ally reps used to share with me the repos, and usually those repos are fucking crazy because those high end cars that we financing, they'll take the big baths, and then sometimes most of these cars they do what's considered a skip, where they don't find the car no more and they got to write off the whole loan. So that's also something else to consider.
Well, I did see a TikTok yesterday, and this seems to be the problem with Carvana. The customer received a Ford Escape, and there were 4 tires on it, obviously. The 2 fronts were a total different size from the 2 backs. Not just because the check engine light went on, he checked it. Not just different tread readings, but different sized tires. And when he contacted Carvana, they said there's nothing you can do about it. You do have the 7-day return policy, but it doesn't include shipping. So you had to pay the shipping to get the car, and you have to pay the shipping to ship it back, and they can return the car. So literally, if they're going to sell a car and they don't check the 4 size tires on it, and they don't have a service center, that's
a used car. What do you think is going to happen, helicopter?
If I did that, I'd have the Better Business Bureau on my ass the next week. Trust me.
Yeah, you would. I was looking at the Carvana.
I got some play here. I got some plays here, guys, but I don't want to disrupt the car conversation. We're going strong, so.
I was just looking at the Carvana puts for, I think, March. Is it?
Yeah, I would say second week of March at the latest. Probably even third week, but I mean, that's
17th then. And they're like 230% IV. Is that high or low?
That's very
that's very high, but
that is extremely high.
I know it's high, but is that high or low for Carvana?
That's high generally, dude.
I know it's high, but
I mean, Bed Bath and Beyond had like 400+% volatility, so like 200% sounds good to me.
Remember, I said that I'm going to be waiting another week or so for this 2 8Ks to wear off, but at the same time, enter at your own risk.
Oh,
Someone's going to meet Ivy Crush.
I was just curious, trying to further the conversation about it.
There's high, then there's Carvana high.
There's high, then
yeah, like.
And then there's Matt's Gamer high.
there's dick towel.
Absolutely.
Like,
What's going on, Wall Street Bets? Good morning, guys. I got a couple plays for y'all.
all right, let's hear it.
I haven't been around for a couple. I couldn't find y'all. I thought they shut it down. I heard that little SEC dude popped up the other day, and I ain't seen no links to the show. So anyway, one of my plays that I got into the other day is actually a pretty dope play. It's off the egg price. I got in. Let me look at when I got in. I haven't sold. I got in at $52.52. The company is CALM. CALM. It's 2 billion market cap, 44 million shares outstanding. They actually pay a pretty decent dividend. And this is based on, like I said, egg prices. After doing my due diligence, I realized back in the summer there was some type of flu that killed a lot of the chickens, which this is probably when people in that industry got into this play way before this. But my high ass was taking a dab the other day, and I said, you know what? These fucking eggs keep going up. Let me do some research. So a bunch of chickens died back in the summer, and this may not go down low anytime soon in regards to price of eggs. So I jumped in. I'm up like $4 a share. I'm going to probably try to ride it out through the earnings, which is on March 28th. In between then and there, maybe take some profits, but it's a pretty dope fucking play. And I'm going to pat myself on the back because that dab was good as shit that day. So back to my shithole plays that I like to just do what it do. I have TCBP. That's TCBP. We're looking at ATXI. Also looking at OTRK. We've seen FFIE have a little bit of volatility in there. ICCM. And my last one would be SYTA. And of course, I'm fucking friend or foe with Ape and AMC. So I'm actually starting to get some gains back from that big ass bag. And happy trading today, guys. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, I was there when
cheers.
the first
Good to
play
hear
you
from
had
you,
had a
man.
$2 billion market cap.
Well, I figured I'd come to you guys with some, I'm
Gave
not
us
just
his
as
other
dumb as
plays.
my
I'm like,
plays
he's
sound.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not as dumb as my plays may sound, right? I do some work. I do my due diligence, right? But this is Wall Street Bets, so I come with bets.
No.
And but that's a solid play right there. Appreciate it.
I'm looking at the numbers on Com right now. PE of 5.5, dividend yield of almost 10%. Earnings per share is almost $10. Like, it's pretty.
Here, I'll give you the
I'm trying to tell
DD
you.
on Cal-Maine. I'll give you the DD from Cal-Maine. They just had the earnings release. The only reason their stock price is up is because egg prices were up. They had a major increase in specialty eggs, which is cage-free chickens. They're focusing on cost for increased build construction costs for specialty egg department. The second factor is that investors don't like the outlook because you have to spend money, and eggs will come back to the market average price whenever the bird flu is completely resolved, which are showing declines. So unless you're looking for a weekly play, I would caution you.
I appreciate that, sir. I'm up $4 and I'm going to ride it. I'm going to take profits. I think around $6 at 1,000 shares. Just make my money. That's it. No harm meant.
Hey, you mentioned that someone from the SEC was listening to these calls. Were you serious about that?
No, well, somebody popped up last week like, hey, motherfuckers, I'm from the SEC or some crazy shit, right? Okay, well, after that joke on no bullshit, I hadn't got any text from the group chat, right? Normally it would pop up on Reddit like, the morning chat. I hadn't seen it, so I'm like, some shit done popped off. So nevertheless.
At this, man, come on.
They just stopped sending out the notifications. So if you want to find a chat, you got to go and find the chat.
My man, I will find you.
All right,
kind
so
of
I got a
your
few things
supply.
reviewed
You got to
here.
go out to look
Firstly,
for it.
We got a few things here, just some housekeeping things, some past-looking statements. So firstly, I talked about Newegg, and I was like, hey, Newegg, 1213. I said, yo, buy calls. And then last week I said Newegg was done for, and I didn't think it was going to rebound. I was happy to ride the calls to zero. Then Newegg pumped 40% in one day. Anyone who didn't take their profits then is an idiot. I took my profits then, and it was nice. 12 bagger, my friends, 12 bagger. Also, I mentioned belonging the German military industrial complex in October. That was Rheinmetall, RNMBY, Rheinmetall. These guys are up 58% since I said that. And they're going to keep going, guys. They are going to keep going. It is not too late to get into the Rheinmetall play, in my personal opinion. Of the $100 billion the Bundestag has allocated to the Bundeswehr, the German military, only a fraction of that $100 billion has been spent. Things they just got was radios, which is a nice thing to have if you're an army. So that tells you how far they have to go to modern military. They're just now getting radios, folks. What years? So anyway, Rheinmetall, I'm long them. I'm still long them. Going to continue longing Rheinmetall. And that's it. There it is. So, and if you're an American, you can still trade Rheinmetall. It is on checked. It is on both Thinkorswim. It's even on Robinhood. So you can get into this.
So I have what I call the Fed fuck up play. I've been running this since probably midway of last year. But I finally put on the second part of it. First would have been the short dollar play. That, obviously been working really well the past month or so. And I was averaging down on my options contracts, targeting the $28 level for UUP. And the second part of it, which I just put on in size, was long silver calls. So I think, as the federal funds rate starts to top out, you may have a second bout of inflation. You may have the Chinese economy starting to come back online and driving like oil prices up and causing CPI to pump a little bit. But I don't think the Fed is really going to risk a super hard landing. So they're going to try and, land the plane gracefully, and people are going to lose confidence in their ability to manage inflation. So long silver as kind of a leverage bet for gold, which is something that people are bullish on, and then short dollar still. So I'll continue to roll those UUP puts, which are printing pretty consistently right now.
Hey, where's Journalist at?
I'm currently.
God, man.
Yeah, get out of here. That's Shimon. I'm currently in the June 28th puts for UUP. I rolled those from my February puts, which were I bought in the middle of last year. I rolled them June. What dates and strikes are you looking at now? Because I agree. I think there's more room down to go on UUP.
Yeah, so I've been kind of misrolling those. My LQD, my bond play, as well as my UUP. I chickened out before the CPI print earlier this month and rolled those into February. So I'm at the 2750 put for early February for UUP, but I'm going to continue to roll those and just add when the dollar does strengthen a little bit. So I'm kind of playing them, trying for like a month out at a time. I'll probably roll these February 3rd puts out, here pretty soon. Looks like the dollar is softening again today. So I'll get some more time on those with the roll. But I'm trying to be very nimble with this play. So like I added a bunch during CPI print to hedge against a hotter print. It came in right in line, which is kind of disappointing for me. But yeah, so I'm playing it pretty tight. Like you seem like you got more time, which I think is smart. But for me, I'm trying to be very, very tactical with these two plays, both silver and UUP, because I think it's going to chop around, but it's going to chop around, lower dollar, higher gold.
All right.
Hey, speaking of journalists, back in a couple weeks ago, we asked him to give us a play that is more of a Wall Street bet style instead of his value investing. He mentioned Kazoo, and it's up, I don't know, 50 or 60% since he said that.
I'm going to add to that. So something I wanted to say, like jokes aside, I know we all love our boy journalist, right? But he mentioned Ryanair back in December, and that pumped from around $75 to where it's at now. I think $95 a share. And I added some options to my watch list expiring June 16th of 2023. It's the farthest out options dates you can pick up. And I added the 85 strikes just to follow his thesis and see what happened. Those are up 300%. They were 350. They're trading at 1500 right now.
Hey, I know everybody wants to like suck journalists' dick. No offense, but the whole airline industry is going up.
You know what else I'm not saying anything negative or positive. I just think
I know. All right.
I'm giving the props. I gotta give
credit
where credit's due.
All right, I gotta play, guys. I gotta play. I've been needing to play for quite a while. And this is Happy New Year, by the way. It's my first time speaking in 2023. But so anyways, Novo Nordisk, fucking insulin, diabetic drugs, anything related to weight loss. On a technical indicator, it did hit Golden Cross last year. I don't really give a fuck because I'm a terrible technical trader. But currently, there's a lot of legislation and a lot of news swirling about the whole endocrinology space of pharmaceutical. One is CMS, Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, has capped insulin at $35 per dose, which is a great news for average consumers. But it's terrible news for Novo Nordisk, Eli Lilly, and the companies that make this shit. However, they have also have news from the pediatrician space saying that children as young as 13 should be prescribed with aggressive weight loss interventions such as bariatric surgery and our favorite pill Wegovy that everybody on TikTok talks about. That's also made by Novo Nordisk. All right, so this is where we are at the moment. And then also the FDA has been doing a lot of label updates with Novo Nordisk drugs to allow certain drugs to be prescribed for other treatment to kind of bypass the reimbursement cap for insurance companies. Yeah. So I am rather bullish because right now the whole America is declaring war on fat now. So we have something else to talk about.
How much pill that they're selling?
How much?
So why wouldn't they just okay, so if you're saying we're gonna make children skinny or whatever, why wouldn't they just prescribe them Adderall, man? That takes care of that. Probably makes them better at school. I don't understand.
Well, for one, it's going to be frowned upon by the pediatrician people, because if you look at their financial disclosures, there's been a lot of money from these endocrine companies that are flowing into these spaces. Money follows the people. What people follow, I just follow the fucking money. And Adderall is a great idea. Unfortunately, there's a shortage of Adderall, and actually Wegovy is having a major shortage too. Like a lot of these weight loss drugs, they are selling out thanks to TikTokers. I can't believe this is 2023 and we have TikTok doctors selling these kind of drugs to celebrities, and now everybody wants to take
What was the ticker? Sorry, what was the ticker?
NVOs. Novo Nordisk is a huge pharmaceutical company that basically focuses primarily on insulin related issues, like diabetic, like DM1, DM2. DM2 is when you develop it. DM1, generally you born with it. This is the organ called the pancreas.
And then you got DMT.
Look at the chart. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is very bullish. I have $140 strike, and then I have a bunch of 145 strike expiring January 20th. This Friday.
But you're talking about stupid TikTok doctors. I had on the other day at Walmart. They were asking for the Mucinex because apparently there's a thing on TikTok saying that if you take Mucinex, it can help you get pregnant easier. And like, just put my hand on my head, and he's like, "You are doing how I feel." He was buying it for a friend. So whoever makes Mucinex, you might want to look into them.
Walgreens, Rite Aid, they have over the counter, unfortunately. And also on the unfortunate note, they Wegovy works very well. You literally you look like fucking Steve Jobs in his final days when you take that fucking drug. So if you are trying to get skinny fast, I guess you take those drugs. I can't guarantee the side effects, so good luck.
So, just a quick question: are you guys suggesting that if Mucinex increases your risk of getting pregnant, that people are going to use more Mucinex?
If they want to get pregnant. In this case, this person that they were buying it for was trying to get pregnant and asked them to go buy it for them. And so, if you have people who want to get pregnant, you might see an increase in purchases of Mucinex, which is why I said, you look who makes it, because they might see a small bump.
Can we not like reify these TikTok?
Sorry, yeah, no,
things.
it's just
Let's just not even talk
sorry,
about it.
man. It was just so wild that I was like, even in my head, I was like, I think there are a lot more people who don't want to get pregnant than there are people who want to get pregnant. They probably will stop buying Mucinex.
Also, holy shit! I looked at the Ryanair chart. My God, that man is insufferably correct. Unfortunately, that chart looks amazing.
Yeah, but he's an asshole, so.
He's kind of like our
True,
last
but
president.
we can use his info to give us money.
Yeah, dude, if we were like not listening to people because they were assholes, there'd be nobody on this chat.
Yeah, but he's like a dick on purpose to everybody, and like he just tells everybody to shut the fuck up all the time, and it gets kind of old after 5 minutes, you know.
I know, but look at those bags we missed.
And has he ever been mean to Luce? Has he ever been mean to Luce?
But is it worth
Yes,
the
'cause he said Luz
20-minute
betrayed him.
meander?
If he would give the play within the first 30 minutes of speaking, then I could live with it.
Exactly. Thank you, Reptile.
Would not insult the rest of our actually prolific contributors on the way to his play, it would also be great.
Exactly. He doesn't respect any of us. He thinks we're all low IQ retards.
Sounds like Wall Street.
We
I thought we were all low-level retards.
Listen, you can spend 20 minutes telling me I'm a moron if you have a good play. Just tell me the play first so I can zone out for the 20 minutes.
You got it. Here we go. I'm about to diss the shit out of you.
I got a quick speculative play going into March. Puts on Google.
No way,
dude. So the thesis is this: Section 230 that everybody loves to talk about. We got a pretty interesting case that's coming in February. It's called Gonzalez versus Google LLC. This specific one was that there's the basically, Google's YouTube algorithm encouraged radicalization of Islamic State back in the days. Currently, we have a pretty stacked Supreme Court. So this is a Supreme Court case. Currently, it's stacked with heavy Republicans, and there's been a lot of murmurs of these algorithms being too woke. I'm not saying that this is going to be the case. However, this is definitely something that everybody should look into, because it could change the way that the algorithm will push information to you from the future, depending on
So
how.
what's the play on it?
Well, puts on Google. That was the first thing.
Just in general, or what? Like the other date?
I'm probably looking into like April, like 421 puts for Google, at around $60. I mean, it's gonna be like a movement play instead of like I know that's gonna hit 60, because it's not gonna be a good news for any like mass information collection companies like Google, because if the Supreme Court rules in favor against Google, rules against Google on this specific case, then they are potentially held liable on a lot of the information they're providing based on their algorithms. So if you I'm just trying to summarize it real quickly. is that they're basically the court case is basically saying that the algorithms created by Google could be held liable. The same way that LIBOR, what's it called? It's like the fucking shit, like when like the real news companies like send out bullshit news, they're liable for false information. But they're right now, like the internet companies are not liable for this shit. So, but
So how much
with
money are
this,
we? What are we talking in terms of the lawsuit? How much money is going to need to be paid out? What are we talking? Give me a dollar amount.
quadrillions of dollars. I'm not even kidding. Like,
Okay. All right. All right.
Because there's this is one of these things where nobody has any fucking idea how this is going to play out if the Pandora's box is open if they start regulating Section 230. I'm
Yep.
not very well versed in this. So
All right.
somebody
We got 3 minutes till market opens. I'm lost. I just heard puts on Google because cheese. All right. What else
All
do
right,
we have?
let's recap all the plays that we've gone through so far over the last few minutes for everyone who's joined in a little bit late since Reddit's failing to hand out notifications. If you do want notifications, by the way, you should join the Discord because you'll get notified there, at least until Reddit has that back up and working. But let's hear some plays or recaps.
Novo Nordisk calls 140 and 145 January 20th.
Nice. We've got Hardy's Wrinkle Brain plays, I think, in the comments.
Short dollar, long silver, long gold.
Yep, that's a play I've heard elsewhere outside of Reddit as well.
Reminder, January 20th, Ally Financial. I am buying puts at 27, 26, 25 for earnings call. Hopefully they miss.
Fingers crossed for you. Any others? We had Mast with Lucid calls, I think.
Yep. $10 call dated for March 3rd. It's an earnings play slash Q4 revenue reveal play.
Hey Hardy, those Roblox puts you recommended the other day, I guess the thesis is out the window on that one.
I don't know why they gapped up. So if you entered, hold on, because it's still crossing Gamma Max.
I did not
If
enter.
you haven't entered, stand aside.
Okay.
I'm in, but at 1/4% of my, well, 1/4 of my usual risk.
Yeah, it was a $30 put, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't forget about the Blue Apron. Be throwing bananas at that all day.
And then there was the Calm play on eggs. Calm. I like that one.
Didn't Roblox gap up because they released their monthly data?
They said double-digit earnings growth in December, but not double-digit user growth in December, but nothing about earnings. So I suspect this is but when the earnings comes out mid-February, things will come back down to reality.
What about selling the $30 call for February then? I'm already short the $30 call for $5.60.
If you have the collateral to back it up, go for it.
Yeah.
That's market open, boys. But we'll keep things going.
And the apes are running.
Hey, where can I read more about this Roblox play? Hardy, did you post it somewhere or? Oh.
Yeah, look at my post history. It was the January 16 plays.
Thanks.
I also just quickly posted a link of the increase in bookings, but I think they have the full numbers out somewhere else. Roblox, by the way, so they do these monthly updates with all their important numbers, and they're planning to do that until March. So I'm curious to get your take, guys, on why are they stopping and why aren't other companies doing this?
Because they don't have to every month.
Yeah, it's like how Apple stopped telling us the numbers specifically. You know, people change their guidance for if this one, like their monthly updates. So probably makes their stock a little less volatile.
But it is a huge red flag when people stop reporting certain metrics that they voluntarily shared before.
True. I think, I think in principle it is, but I know from a business aspect they would run it as it's simplification, but
A one-time thing, bite the bullet.
All right, didn't mean to go down the path of Roblox too much there.
Hey, anybody notice the 20-year treasury just bumped 2%? That's a pretty big increase.
I did not notice that.
Hey, this might be in the trash bin for now, but Shell just bought Volta in pre-market today for 86 cents a share. It had a 52-week high of about, I think it was like $5.30. I'm kind of curious as to where it's going to go from there. I've been holding $1 calls expiring in February for a couple of weeks now.
For Volta, I have
Yeah.
shares, man. I was buying the dip at 29 cents. I only have 400, and then I sold them all at around 50, 60. They're not going up any way. I don't think it's going to go up above 88 cents, unfortunately. So I'm just liquidating. However, that's an interesting play by Shell because Volta is predominantly in America and at the malls. And, well, I wonder which EV charging station is going to be next.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they do some type of expansion, do an offshoot of the whole Shell V Power name, call it Shell EB Power, something stupid,
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about Volta, because they're not really reinventing the wheel for charging technology, but they are reinventing the footprint of the charging technology. So they're using, I'm actually sitting at a Volta charging station as we speak. They're pumping out ads at the mall, at the Volta charging station. So theoretically, they could generate revenue that way. But I don't know exactly how much revenue they're looking at. And in case anybody's wondering about possibility of an infrastructure bill boost, if you guys look closely, the infrastructure bill for charging stations are in low income areas. So Volta is probably not going to be in that pecking order. So just be careful, guys.
I got a long-term play at CRISPR and Prime.
I've got a total degenerate play I'm into. I spent it about a week ago. WISA Technologies, WISA. They're down to about 9 cents. I'm looking for about a 3-bagger out of them to get into the 30-cent range. I know it sounds crazy. They don't make money. They're actually showing a product, or they just showed a product that they have, some type of speaker system. But speaking with a few people on here, it's one that I think that's going to happen in the next few weeks. So I have some shares at just above 9 cents. It's about 9.50, 9.60 now. It's been jumping all around between 9 and 10 cents. Something that just, if you have some bucks that you're willing to gamble, that's going to be a gamble. So good luck, everybody.
What was the CRISPR and was that Prime play?
Yeah, PR is it? PRME, Prime Medicine. They're in conjunction with CRISPR. So, but their shares they should take quite a bit of CRISPR's market share. Either way, those are going to be two futures that what they do is pretty much a game changer. They're at the genetic DNA level. So they're like prime. The reason why they're called prime is because they're like it's the prime starter. You start here. You want to start like cancer. No, we're going to start at the DNA level here. So way before you get to the tumor splitting and all that kind of stuff.
So I think ARC-G might be like a possible play. That's like a whole basket of molecular bio, if you want to do it.
Having flashbacks already.
Yeah, I don't like ARC-G because it's way too ambitious, in my opinion. I actually studied molecular bio in my undergrad days, so I'm pretty good at understanding what they're trying to sell. I would say probably 2028 at the earliest is when you're actually going to see like profit or ARC-G.
Huh. Well, I'll come back in 5 years from now. Talk to you then. Remind me.
Sounds like weeklies. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, last week I bought in CRISPR Therapeutics at 45. It's like at 52.
So I bought into a company called UAVS, Ag Eagle Aerial Systems. They have one of the best fixed wing drones in the industry. They do like agricultural surveys using drones. I think there's a future in that. So far, the stock is up 28% since I got into it. The ticker again is U as in uniform, Alpha, Victor, Sierra. Ag Eagle.
Haven't heard that name in like 2 years. I like the company.
I'm with you in that one, bud. They have a headquarters like in front of, or they have a branch in front of like the Amazon headquarters, so that might be a possible thing that they have together. But yeah, lean more towards the agriculture side.
Yeah, it looks really interesting. They have like thermal imaging. They have different types of imaging cameras that they can mount on their systems. I think there's definitely a good future for that.
Is that part of the EB line? Their EB Vision?
I think so. Yeah. Yep.
There you go. That's came out on December 13th. That news.
I'm with you on it, man. It's a long play for real. It has a lot of potential growth.
I agree. Yep.
So anybody, well, this is kind of piggybacking off of like the unmanned drones. Anybody looking at Kratos, KTOS? Since they
The God of War.
Nice. No, they make like this kamikaze drones over at Ukraine. They call it, I think, Switchblade or something.
Call.
I mean, they've been pretty badly beaten down, even though they've been getting like a lot of contracts from the military, and they have like a negative P&E. So I don't know if they updated their like P&E to yet, so they actually look more in line with their expectations, or that they're truly like at a negative P&E.
Well, a lot of contracts could mean that they're ramping up production or they're increasing production and stuff like that, which usually comes with some upfront investment. So that could be why they have a negative PE ratio.
Well, shouldn't that have a positive PE? Because that's generally, if you put money into it, that's like Tesla. You have all this billions of dollars. You get like 1,000 KTOS, KTOS.
Anybody know what's going on with Hasbro?
Yes. Do you have a
Dungeons and
specific
Dragons.
question? Because there's a couple things going on with Hasbro.
I'm looking. I was interested because I heard some things about the D&D stuff, and then I'm reading this thing that says MKM Partners maintains buy on Hasbro lowest price. So I thought they were gonna
Okay.
buy it. That's just a price target. My bad.
this came up yesterday. I'll try to do this super quick so that we don't go over it again. Essentially, Hasbro owns Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons for the longest time had this thing called an open game license. Essentially, you could use their stuff as long as you didn't say it was by them.
Yeah, I
So-
read the post.
Okay.
I'm good.
Then never mind.
Yeah. Thank you, though.
So, when you're asking what's up with it, are you just trying to see what our opinion is? You think it's bullish or
Well,
bearish,
looking
or-
at what's so yeah, I'm wondering.
So I can say, because this didn't come up yesterday, their newest set in Magic has had a bunch of problems. The cards are like printed improperly, they're not properly sized. They're actually cards from an upcoming set that hasn't released yet being accidentally included. Apparently the vendors they're using are like garbage and have screwed everything up. Like
Yeah.
there are different dimensions for the cards and stuff.
That's not good. And the movie is the movie coming out soon, or when was that scheduled to be released?
I'm not sure about that, but I would say the overall, at least what I've taken the tone in the room the last week or so, talking about all the D&D issues, it doesn't seem good for the company. It seems
No.
like they've got a bunch of uphill battles that are, could lower the stock price both on earnings and on multiple if
Yeah.
you're really
Well-
disenfranchising, disenfranchising a large population.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to overgeneralize, but that's kind of what I've taken from the. We've had lots of conversations.
How
about
far out should I be going? 6 to 9 months on my puts, or further, or less?
Well, the movie's supposed to drop at the end of March, March 31st.
Okay. Thank you. Now I'm looking at July. There's April and July. Those are the two ones after March. April is pretty cheap still. Only 37% implied volatility on this. So pretty low. I don't know what the historical's like on it, but maybe I'd buy the $60 put for $260 something. It's got a 0.3 delta.
Oh, if anybody's holding RSX, the Russian ETF bag holding, like me, they last week they have decided to liquidate the assets going into December of this year. So I guess we can smoke some hopium that they resume trading. I don't know if Putin dies or something, but that's gonna be what's happening to the Russian ETF.
Didn't they freeze that entire ETF at the start of the war, and it hasn't been unfrozen since?
Yep, they are starting the liquidation process. Well, they voted to go ahead with it last week. That's the last I've heard about it, and I think I'm able to sell them at some weird market, but not in America.
Has anybody heard anything on Voyager in the Binance? Hopefully that'll go through, so I can at least recover something.
I have a bit of a specific question regarding a play that I made about a week ago now. It kind of went awry, so if anyone could kind of help me figure out what went wrong, I'd kind of appreciate it. I bought 100 shares of a company called Sorrento Therapeutics, ticker SRNE, to try to practice selling a covered call, just to kind of wrap my brain around it, because I figured it would be low cost to entry. Set a expiry date of January 13th. On January 9th, the company announced a special share dividend of company SCLX, or ticker SCLX. You would receive 0.14 shares of SCLX per share owned of SRNE. On January 13th, the covered call was assigned, so I received the expected kind of revenue from selling the 100 shares of SRNE. But now I have a negative 14 share position of SCLX, a company that I never owned. And in the transaction history, it says that I sold those 14 shares when the call was assigned. So I just don't really know what to do now because I have negative 14 shares of a company.
Call your broker and
Yeah.
ask what happened. But I'm going to assume that you have negative 14 shares of a company that trades at like what, 5 cents, 10 cents?
It trades at like $8 a share now, which is
Yeah,
more than the original company traded for. I just don't understand why the shares would have sold if I never received the shares. Like the dividend hasn't paid. They have until March to pay the dividend. I reached out to the broker and they basically said you can buy to close the option, which you may not be able to do, and they may need to do it for me, or I can wait and then I'll receive the 14 shares. But I don't know why I would sell those 14 shares. Like I don't know why I'm being forced to sell those shares. I guess.
So I think the problem maybe check the dividend date. So the time where you had to be holding the shares.
Yep.
When you got essentially
so
marked as being an individual who's going to receive that dividend.
Yeah.
So what might have happened is that it was kind of in line with you getting.
I was going to say, So
Yeah.
The dividend date was January 9th, and the position assigned on January 13th.
Yeah, they'll probably give you. They'll
So I was
probably
like,
give you the shares.
Yep.
And then you'll immediately lose the shares.
And that's what I was expecting, but I just didn't, or that's what I figure is going to happen. I just don't understand why those shares are selling as part of that option. Like when I would think that if I had just been holding the shares, I would receive those 14 shares.
Yeah, I
And
think
then I could
they're-
sell the 100 shares later, say, and I would still have those 14 shares. I don't know why those shares are like automatically selling, I guess.
It's probably because those shares are not going to automatically be reassigned to that other person because of the date on which they acquired those shares. So,
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it.
Talk to your
It's
broker.
I was about to say, it's real.
Don't
strange.
freak out. Don't freak out. Just talk to your broker. Make sure that, and just keep the date in mind.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Totally random. It's not like a meme play, but SPY 420 that expires on 421 is only $600. That's actually really cheap, all things considered.
I mean, if this bull market continues, we might see that.
Yeah, and then 425 is $200 less. I mean, I'm pretty sure like they're putting the probability of it hitting 420 is like very low. That's why it's so cheap. They're saying like in 2 months, 3 months, it will hit $20, go up $20. So
Nice.
Just thought I'd put in a little smooth jazz.
So, bullshit play Crocs. I don't know if anybody else has been like following them. I mentioned them probably 2 months ago.
I wish
They're
I-
actually Crocs, CROX ticker. They make ugly shoes, but they're comfy and they're trending. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, their newest pair. I paid like $60 for a pair of Crocs that have the name on the side and they're
people
fur
fucking
lined and shit. So there you
people
go.
love them, man. I mean, there's nothing like I don't know why, but people love them. So by the company, because the company they'll probably beat earnings on February 15th, but they're on like a upswing.
I'll tell you why. Because they're the knockoff Birkenstocks without all the hassle of the smells and shit like that. Because it's plastic. So if it gets too bad, you can throw it away.
Yeah, I mean, what are their overheads really? Like, that must be the cheapest shoe to make.
Yeah, they
Exactly.
advertised, right? Like, that's pretty well known. I like the play. I wish I got in when it was $100. I'm a little leery up in 120, 130, but hey, if you're a gambler, I don't know. It's at an uptrend.
You never know. I think they also supply a lot of the prison systems with their shoes or whatever.
Yeah, the historical charts, like, nice if you look at it. They go back to all-time highs.
It kind of reminded me of Ulta in the short term. It just like does not stop going up.
Yeah, probably trying to buy puts then.
Yeah, that is like a textbook V bounce. If you look at that chart off its lows last April, oh my gosh.
I'm too big of a pussy to get in.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah, a V, not a U, that's for sure.
So it looks like you should have bought it like 50 or 60 is all I'm saying. I mean, it may go all the way back up to its high there,
Yeah.
but it's past the 50% retracement even. So I don't know.
You're playing with fire at this point, but hey.
Puts on Crocs.
Puts on Crocs or Cox?
Definitely Crocs.
Carvana with a casual 40% gain this week for a very legitimate company.
I'm long puts on Crocs. I mean, yeah.
You don't like innovative footwear with holes?
No, I'm talking about something. Go on.
So the deal with Crocs is that I think they're actually right about where their value should be right now. I don't think they're going to rebound all that far. But I think in a market that is going to do poorly over the next year, they're probably one of the companies that you should be looking at as like a stable company that's probably going to maintain its value.
Their puts are freaking outrageously expensive.
Yeah, yeah. If you cut out the whole thing, the chart after 2020, it doesn't look as good, but just had a big run up there before 2022 there. And I think, but I was told to cut off everything that happened after 2020 or something. Hey, we can bring some more people up on the stage.
Yeah, we've got 3 hands. Anyone who wants to come up can just raise their hand, and happy to invite you. It is a little bit slow, I know, with the notifications not going out, but it's crazy to see that, 700 plus people, actually much more, since those are only the concurrent live ones, are actually taking the time to search and find the talk. I mean, it's not even pinned right now, and we're still getting joiners, so it's good stuff.
I guess your opinion actually is popular.
I think it's everyone else's opinion that's popular.
Take some credit. Take some credit.
I take credit as the what was it? The nervous version of the Fallout 4 guy.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, when you put your cat ears on, you become the confident version.
Oh god. You will not see me in cat ears. Thank you very much.
Yo, so I put 70% of my account into 2-year Disney calls. What do we think about this? Bob Iger at the helm.
You must hate money.
What?
So, what makes you feel that over the next 2 years, Disney as a corporation is going to grow? Is it any specific sector? Do you think the parks are going to become more popular as people get less worried about COVID? Do you think the streaming service is going to progress? Do you think their cinematic universe will expand? What specifically about Disney feels good to you?
It certainly ain't the zoo part.
Let him answer. Let him answer.
I would say one. I think people are thinking the Fox acquisition is too much, are not valuing, and that X-Men are the best superheroes, and Disney hasn't done anything with them yet. And then the other thing is, oh yeah, all that debt's just slowly going away. And then they prove that they can't stop making fucking bangers with Avatar. Like, who even cared about that? It's still,
I don't know. I haven't seen
fifth
it.
highest grossing or whatever.
I just have an issue with your 70% portfolio.
Yeah, that's an exaggeration. I'm poor, so that's not
What's
much.
the strike price?
110.
And what's the date? Expiration date?
2 years, so January 2024. Pretty.
Pay for it.
You could honestly, if you want, well, maybe not at that high of a strike price, but you could look into doing some poor man cover calls over the months to try and slowly recuperate some of that back.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I haven't looked at the math of your strikes and everything, but that's just, if you're going to wait 2 years, you might as well every month collect a little bit.
Join the
Yeah.
wheel. Do the wheelie.
The problem with that is you risk giving up a lot if you get assigned. Like you risk a lot of data you're paying, right?
Oh yeah, if it hits that. But my other question was, how long do you think before we start buying puts on Bed Bath and Beyond?
When they come down in price, personally.
So
Dude,
we
I
always
was
have
just
to
looking at it. Stupid fucking towel company.
we always have to add the disclaimer of there is no we, so that opinion doesn't have a small heart attack.
Yeah, personally.
No, I don't mind at all. Who cares if there's a we?
There it is. All right, there it is, folks. So we Wall Street Bets are looking to buy puts on Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I gotta get out of here. Gotta go.
Not the first time we've talked about it in the last week.
No, but seriously though, garbage company. But I don't like playing options with something that's, last I checked, was at 800% IB. You're just asking to lose.
You're just giving the market makers money, man.
Right? The winners from there are the people who own the shares and are playing the IV. Those are the winners.
Yes, the people doing buy rights, the people selling calls, naked calls, or covered calls, or married puts or whatever, doing any option kind of strategies with shares. So all the people that bought like that $1 or whatever when it went down there would have just sold one to the $2 or $3 or $4 strikes and get assigned lock in a 300% gain.
Hallelujah. That worked for me. I made like $74 on $7 or $8.
Hey, you made money, and that's the goal, right? Doesn't matter how much.
That's correct, sir.
And I would also say I don't think anyone's saying put 70% of your portfolio into Bed Bath & Beyond puts. That's definitely, it's a big lottery ticket.
No, that's yeah. Like Hardy says, he puts max, I think 2.5%. He says.
Mine was on scale. That's why it was $7 worth.
Yeah. So well, fair enough. Don't mean to rag on small ports.
We are inclusive of all portfolio size, from the teeny tiny portfolios to the massive portfolios. All are welcome, of course.
Girthy portfolios.
Yeah, granted, don't get me wrong. On the paper trading account, it was like, oh yeah, we're going big time on this one. But on the real account, it was like, we better go to like $7. But paper, it was 70,000 for sure. But it doesn't matter in paper.
Paper don't matter. I had some person come in and talking to me about this the other day, and they're going on, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm just paper trading." I'm like, "Okay, thanks for wasting my time."
Do keep in mind a lot of those paper accounts don't actually reflect the value you would get from like selling your options and stuff accurately. So keep that in mind as well, depending on who you're doing it through.
They don't have like looking to make sure, like when I bought the put or something like that, I didn't like, damn it, that went to the wrong way, and I'm like, good, I'm glad I didn't actually.
Hey, have you guys seen Rig? It broke $6.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ, my calls are getting called away like crazy. I bought a bunch and was like below 4. And then like I was writing calls because it was just trading steadily. Now it just keeps on like calling my shares away. It's pissing me off.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it's making money.
They'll run up, get all the calls assigned,
Yeah.
run down, get all the puts. That's how they're going to operate. They'll trade sideways for a while. They'll just fuck everybody.
Man, anybody try to open up like a Jade Lizard with BBBY? Because this could be like an interesting play.
Sorry, what was that? A Jade Lizard again? What was the setup on that?
A Jade Lizard.
Yeah, so what does that entail again?
It's like a short-term put. And then you kind of open up some calls to kind of capture the implied volatility.
So like a 3-winged.
Yeah, hang on. Let me post this on Discord. That's just kind of give you like an idea. It's good for like really volatile upward movements.
Or the Mike whiteboard one for it, but I never ran it myself.
I just love these names.
If anybody's listening, they want to check out a good options video series. It's Mike and his whiteboard on YouTube.
So if you want to see a stock that's on a tear, I didn't even realize it was up this much today as well, but AEHR for the last month has been absolutely crushing it. And this was up, but I didn't realize it was doing this well.
Oh man, nice. Oh, Matterport. I am only down 4% from 50%.
Damn, I ran air from like 25 to 29 and did not know that it broke 30.
Yeah, it's got no chill right now. Also, obligatory ape to the moon comment, because ape to the moon.
Yeah, oh my god. Fucking AMC is $6.
By the way, because I'm gonna put myself on blast. If you did follow me into ape and you're making money, I get no credit because it's just because AMC is running. This is not for the reasons I thought would happen. So no credit to me. Don't say good job me. I didn't do nothing. It's pure luck.
Didn't follow you in.
I'm writing this down right now. No.
I'm not taking credit because AMC did a stupid run like I thought that was gonna happen. That ain't fair.
Yeah, this round is beyond stupid, man. Like somebody's smoking copium with this. Jesus Christ. Uranium ETF has been creeping up. In case anybody's following the uranium squeeze.
Maybe.
The URA, it was like at $19 last month. Now it's at 22. It's a pretty big jump for uranium. I mean, it's a cyclical stock. You know, I'm not too crazy about it. I only have like a few hundred shares just to kind of keep track of it.
Yeah, I think BNS there I was talking about, it's knocking at the door of 70 Canadian now.
Nice. Oh man.
I'm up like $2 now. So I'm holding
70 Canadian. What's that in freedom dollars?
about 55 or something, I think it is. It's BNS is the ticker on the American exchange. BNS, Bravo November Sierra. Bank stock, Canadian bank stock.
Nice.
52. So yeah, you were pretty close.
All right. U.S. Steel is trying to make a run for $29.
Opinion. What stocks do you think should be popular?
I think we're probably trending to a place where there's more people doing value investing and future cash flows are a lot closer near term. So we'll probably see, I mean, we've probably already seen huge markdowns on anything which is anticipating profit way, way out in the future. But that's kind of not great because there's lots of really cool, like, I think SMRs, is that what they're called? The small nuclear reactor, small molecular reactor. That stuff where, like, getting paid for building something or doing R&D is so far out in the future, and I think those are going to lose a lot of funding, or have a hard time raising funds, which is a bummer. I mean, I could be wrong, but
Yeah, we sorely need that energy source.
Bill Gates backing it, so it's not like there's not funding there.
Yeah. I mean, Bill Gates can be funding it, or more likely, I think government contracts will provide like steady revenue streams for these companies so that they're able to operate or raise capital. But it's I mean, it'll be nice to see less purely speculative stocks, or what's the word? Extrapolation from like a very, very tiny amount of revenue to saying, oh, but we can, fill the whole market. And then the giant market valuations that come along with that. But it also sucks as kind of like a consumer that the age of free money is kind of over, and all the VC funded charities basically are coming to an end. No more cheap Uber Eats, no more cheap, whatever these services were providing.
Yeah, it's going to get tough. There's going to be a recession, I think we got to go through.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because everyone's like, oh, we're going to go through a recession, but in some ways it kind of feels like we're already in a recession. We're seeing big layoffs, and it's clear that the Fed is trying to maintain, like, their key goal right now is to maintain price stability. But and I mean, they're fine with some layoffs, but the layoffs seem to have not happened to quite the degree that they were hoping. At least that's my take on it. So is it possible we end up in a situation where prices start to stabilize and we still have relatively full employment? I don't know. I mean, I hope so.
The employment numbers are incredibly interesting. It's not for lack of people without jobs, just apparently a lot of people are fine or in positions where they can be without jobs. It's a very if it's a recession, it's a very interesting recession with such low unemployment.
We saw similar behavior during the pandemic. Everyone that could basically afford to stop working and just get away from the virus for a little bit did, and so you saw labor force participation drop significantly, and that drop has persisted. Now, it's a long-term trend over like, I think the data I was most recently looking at was for like a decade or two, but it's a very long trend where labor force participation is trending down. Um, so big shock events like COVID or this potential recession or inflationary pressures is just, adding more fuel to that. I mean, on top of automation making things cheaper relative to, you know, wages. Sorry, I see Lebowski and Wyflow like continuously unmuting. So Lebowski, do you want to, or Wyflow?
Yeah, I was just kind of talking about the labor market. I mean, we see a lot of people retiring, and they have these pretty fat retirement accounts. And a lot of people are doing the FIRE movement, basically save like a dog for like the first 10 years and then retire off of like $1 or $2 million. I think that's what's kind of going on right now with like such low available. This is just my thesis. I'm still kind of looking through these numbers. It's like I'm really seeing like less people working, not because like they don't want to work. It's really they can't afford to not work. So I mean, I don't know, man. Like maybe Jay Powell can somehow seize all their accounts, and you see a bunch of boomers ending up grading you at Walmart. That'll be a that'll be a great thing because, like, it's like money doesn't just like reproduce in that way and doesn't lose value. So somebody's got to work, and there's like a
I'm just
huge
wondering where these
gap.
people are making their money, man. How they're feeding their families.
Great question. Well, a lot of people don't have families anymore. Like millennials, they fucking hate to have kids. Trust me, I'm a millennial. I regret having kids sometimes, but I love my kids. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
it's older, but maybe.
I think a lot of people don't have kids. I think another thing to consider is those checks over COVID let a lot of people who live their life on credit card debt, minimum payment, always kind of paycheck to paycheck, pay off those debts, right? Put that credit card to zero for the first time in maybe 5 to 8 years. And now all of a sudden the $200 payment they made every month is just sitting there and they're looking at it going, oh, I don't got to pay that anymore. The COVID checks fixed that.
Well, I think that was true to some extent. And we saw data recently, I think this week or last week, that the retail investors are like net zero in terms of how much stock they've accumulated since 2019. So if during the pandemic, there was this big rise where everyone got the stimmy checks and invested that into markets, well, they've been drawing down on that over 2022. And now it's basically net zero, where they've either sold off or lost value in their investments to the point where, they're at the same place as 2019. So if there was some people who, or were some people who benefited from the stimmy checks, I think that party train is probably kind of, evened out. But yeah.
I've noticed something kind of weird on the military side. I've been in the Air Force for 16 years, and for the recruiting, they've switched one of the criterias from you get disqualified if you've experimented with anything plus marijuana, but they just changed that a few months ago to they've excluded marijuana from being able to like nab people up to get them to join the military. So, but it's still hard up
down there, man. You guys gotta get it legal. Up here in Canada, man, like, well, much better. Don't have to worry about like getting shitty weed or whatever. Anyways, getting off topic.
No, don't get me wrong. I want that shit to be legal. Fucking make mushrooms legal. Make it all legal. I don't give a fuck. But I know that they're hard up on getting people to join because, for one, like with the wages going up, there's a lot better opportunities on the outside. I think I'm actually going to be getting out soon. Like they can shove their retirement up their ass. But yeah, people just don't want to do shitty jobs, it seems, anymore.
I wanted to jump in and piggyback on the comments about the stimulus check. Like personally, I've got 2 kids and I'm a millennial and I'm divorced. And more important than the stimulus check was the student loan pause. Like I paid almost $12,000 off my credit card debt and personal loan debt without, because I didn't have to pay my student loans down more than like the $1,200 I got from the government. I think that was super important to paying down debt personally.
Yeah, I wonder what the numbers are like for people on here working.
Just to add one comment regarding the employment talks. So recently, like, I don't know if someone saw it, but like recently, some months ago, Goldman Sachs allowed their employees to take unlimited, like theoretically unlimited vacations. Possibly, I guess, like their workers are not that much interested in
How do
continuing.
you get unlimited vacations, man? I can't just.
So like, I mean, unlimited vacations meaning like you can take 2 years break and then join after 2 years.
Like a sabbatical almost?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you don't get paid, but you can hypothetically take even 5 years of vacation and come back to job.
Nice. For them.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I mean, I guess one of the possible reasons would be like it's a very stressful job, and I mean it's an incentive, right, to select their job over the other
It's fairly well,
competitors.
so they can afford to take a couple years off.
Yeah, they want the best, I guess.
I got a question if anybody knows, may not know. Anything you know about Chat GPT? I noticed the AI software, there's the site, because I've been using it for the last, I guess about a week or so. And was doing some pretty cool shit with it, but now all of a sudden it can't be reached. I didn't know, is it going to be a publicly traded company? Is it a publicly traded company? Will it move towards a public trader? Is it just one robot? It's just piggybacking off Google knowledge?
I don't think it's traded, but I did hear some murmurs about Microsoft possibly buying like a good chunk of it.
Yeah, they already have a big investment.
Yeah, I think it's like $29 billion, right? And I think it's trained on a very large data set up to mid 2020 or something. So I think even Microsoft was asking OpenAI if they want to collaborate or sorry, incorporate ChatGPT in Bing, which we all, of course, use.
It was pretty tight. I got into an argument with it though. It was wrong on one subject, and then it came back and was like, "Oh yeah, okay, it is being sold, but under a different name." And I was like, "Yeah, exactly," because I knew it name that it was being sold under. We're talking about rapamycin and
Would you
Folidin.
record? Would you record that? Would you start the same fight with it? I'd like to see that.
I've got. I can't get on. You can't get on right now. They're saying
That's too bad.
Can I ask a serious question?
I'm hoping that when I do get back on, because I've logged in,
Please,
save
please.
it all in the history. Because we were talking about PVC and pool vacuums and designing of the flow for water, and so it spit back. And it even wrote me a song. We wrote a song together. And I told it. I said, "Hey, not bad AI," and it said something. It responded back, "Well, hey, I'm here to do all this kind of stuff." Anyway, a couple of the dialogues were pretty dope. And
So-
we got a rapamycin one when I was like, "No, dude, you're wrong." And he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, you're right. It is Soledad, whatever."
So did you ask it if they're putting chemicals in the water to turn the frogs gay? Was that one of the debates?
No, but I tell you what, it is pretty much like you can probably, in a sense, either argue with it or at least get to the facts of something if it's got enough. That's why I was wondering about the data set. Where is it getting its factual data set from? Is it something that's Microsoft's data control, or is it more of using like a Google or kind of a universal Akashic record type shit?
It was pretty cool. I was trying to get it to admit that it would be more useful for its program functionality if it was self-aware or omnipotent, but it had a pretty solid answer every time I was trying to get it to admit to that shit.
Yeah, it said it didn't have any feelings or anything like that. So we went to that route, and then it wouldn't illustrate. So I was saying when we were talking about the PVC design and a pool vacuum, such that it can go off, the pump and basically just have a vortex effect, so that when one swipe of a pool, this long PVC piping can, with the power of the pump of the pool, suck up all the damn debris in the pool and I can go on with life, kind of thing.
But yes, we did discuss this the other morning. Hardy brought it up as a play on Microsoft, I believe it was. It was a short-term one, and but we did talk about it. And Microsoft has been up in the last few days, so fortunately, it's probably in the price already. But it is interesting. I do agree. I think it goes to the also what Opinion was talking about with employment. It's not just AI and automation, but I've been on the fire brigade for the last 5.5 years. So the pandemic was boring to me early because I was like, this is what I do. It's interesting time because you do see people having to go back, but on their own terms still. It's still a paradigm shift. What does that mean? I think it means that Jay Powell's going to have to smash unemployment down with higher interest rates, but the bond market is still not saying that. Still says recession, but anyhow, I wanted to bring it back to some plays. Thanks.
Yeah, when's the rug pull gonna happen here?
The moon, baby.
Seriously, today everything's just up and up and up the last couple days.
Wait, that was a play because if I can't, that site is down, so that means they're getting hit so much that everything's down and their capacity is way overloaded. So,
what
which
site?
company owns what? You're saying Microsoft owns this Chat GPT deal, or
Yeah, I couldn't even get onto the thing.
you can't? That's what I'm saying. It's crashed. They've crashed because I was having. I mean, they were getting so many questions. I mean, I was bombarding it with just design ideas, ideas like inventions that I had from a long time ago. Like, hey, it'll show me this, show me that. He was like, we wrote a song. I said I gave it 2 lines as far as a song. I said something like something about exes, and I'm never going back to Texas, and something else. And it was just 2 lines. I said, I want you to write me a song based on those 2 lines. And sure enough, he came back with, well, this is what I interpret those 2 lines mean. And he wrote a paragraph on how much despair and how moving on, anyway. So then I said, well, then write a song on that. And so then sure enough, verse 1, verse 2. And then I came back and said, all right, now write notes. I need a chord progression to it. Sure enough, comes back with the chord progression. So I want to keep going, but it's down. So if it's a Microsoft thing and they own it, then surely they've got enough servers to handle capacity.
So I know people use it for coding too. Like I was watching some videos and shit of people basically being like, give me a trade strategy based off of the 20-day moving average, blah, blah, some shit. And it's like, well, what do you want it written in? And it's like Python. And it'll poop out like code.
Time.
Yeah, and then just people will copy and paste it into like TradingView and just let it do its thing. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, until everybody starts doing that, and then they change the dynamic.
So just to address like one of the reasons why ChatGPT is down, I think they would have good servers, but like I read a statistic where they had over 1 million users within the span of 5 days. So current count could be much higher. And if you compare it with like Instagram or something, it took like months, if not years, to get that much user base.
Shit. So then this is the next Twitter of all Twitters, because like Run Saber said, I didn't realize that it could do that with the coding, but that means it can do it for PLC programming, it can do it for Siemens, it can do it for a lot of stuff for automation, a lot of things I did on the oil rigs. So it can do a lot of capabilities. Who owns it, or how do I get stock in it, or how do I,
Microsoft is about to invest, I think, a couple, I'm not even sure if it's billion in it. Like Microsoft's about to dump a bunch of money into it. That's the word.
What though? You're saying dump into the company? Is it a company called ChatGPT?
OpenAI, which is the company that does ChatGPT.
So you're saying buy Microsoft then?
I mean, it's as good a bet as any. Microsoft is already pretty stable. I'd never dissuade someone from buying Microsoft.
So but you can't buy OpenAI or that company.
No, they're not publicly traded.
Damn it.
Let's buy Microsoft.
But the point is, I mean, if you look at the way that Microsoft established itself initially, when it was Microsoft and Apple entering the market to provide like document processing, those kind of functionalities. what Microsoft did was they made Word, Excel, and Outlook widely accessible. So basically, anyone who was in school, they just gave it to you for free. So
Well, then why didn't and Google's on its way to having one, I guess.
Google, and Google did kind of the same thing, right? Google did that with their search engine. So they created like this massive user base by making the novel product completely free for use. So anyone who is getting into like that space and using that type of product would be using their product and learning on their product. What that means is OpenAI is doing kind of the same thing with ChatGPT. So as soon as they figure out how to monetize it, I mean, which doesn't seem that hard, let's be honest, because Fiverr exists, and that's basically what ChatGPT does. It replaces something like Fiverr, where it's like, I want someone to do a very small design task for me, right? And I mean, I think it's going to be, AI design is here to stay, and it's going to be a huge deal. And it's going to mean a big thing for every single industry out there. And it's not just one or two. There are law firms who are currently looking into these types of AI programs to draft documents for them. That's going to put attorneys out of business. So
that makes me kind of wonder, because Microsoft's got their earnings coming up pretty soon, and all I've heard was just the chatter of, they're going to put X amount of billions into OpenAI and shit. But I almost wonder now if they'll give us some solidified information off of that earnings report with like guidance.
So I think, just to add some color here, Microsoft has already been with OpenAI since its inception, right? They're pumping in more money right now, but I don't think it's going to reflect on their financials yet. The way it's working right now with ChatGPT is they are losing over $1 million a day in compute.
They're
And
not.
that's
I think they're looking forward, but beyond that, like at the potential of it, not the current cash flows.
No. But I appreciate getting the info, Delicious. So continue.
So I think the marriage here is going to be Bing. Basically, it's going to be a competition for more like Google. From what I understand, is they want to make Bing ride on ChatGPT, and that's kind of where the revenue. So I think where the collaboration starts here is ChatGPT is built on the Microsoft cloud, right? And so they are paying Microsoft this $1 million a day for compute time. So I think part of the deal is free compute time on the web. So which means the issue that we're all seeing with not having access to the server today, it might get mitigated, right? And so that's kind of where this union will start making sense. And the two other examples someone just mentioned about Google and Microsoft, those guys started with a very robust model to have advertising revenue, or at least a product revenue. You had to pay a license for Windows. I think with this particular thing, they haven't yet figured it out. So I think Elon Musk has a big hand in OpenAI. He's a big investor. And I think Microsoft has been a big investor too. So the play that we're talking about coming up in the financial statements, I really don't think they're going to start seeing any benefit at Microsoft's end in the next 6 or 8 months. This is all just hype, lack of information, right? But if you look at the details before Microsoft jumped in, OpenAI was having a lot of trouble staying active to support its users. And that's kind of where Microsoft stepped in, seeing the opportunity to increase their stake in the company.
Yeah. I mean, my whole thing right now is, if your problem is that you got too many users, I mean, that's a hell of a good problem to have. Especially when we're looking at a world where we've got social media platforms that are struggling to maintain their volume day after day. I mean,
that's a fair point. Fair point. I think universities and schools are kind of a lot more worried about it, because earlier you had plagiarism with documents. Now you don't really plagiarize because ChatGPT writes your whole essay. That's an original, but it's taking inferences from a whole bunch of documents.
I got a question. Can they fix Teams so it's still not so shitty?
I guess
No,
once they're done copying Zoom and the other platforms, they may start fixing the bugs.
I hate Team as an end user, like the SharePoint and stuff. Like it's so annoying to log in every time with like thing and you get a code. Like the 2-factor thing is way too far for me. Anyway, hi guys. Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to say something about ChatGPT. Well, first of all, the version that you have right now, that is an old version. So that version has an algorithm of 100 billion instances. So it has 100 billion points how it makes decisions. The next one is going to be trillions of the model.
Nice.
There is going to be trillions, yeah. But this, the reason why you have these timeouts is because there's a guy in Europe somewhere used ChatGPT to break into banking system, find vulnerabilities. It wrote the code, and it broke cybersecurity into the bank, in the bank, and there was other issues like. People trying to figure out how to make explosives and on and on and on. So they've got they're trying to
Figure out how to keep the anarchist cookbook off of it, so to speak.
The problem they're going to run into with this whole thing is that it's the same problem you had with just the internet in the first place. You are about to have a lot of information that's going to be readily available at people's fingertips. You cannot prevent people from doing things like if they can break it down into smaller components, which is what I assume these guys have been doing, is instead of just saying, hey, teach me how to do, write me a program to do this, they go, write me a program to do this one little part, another little part, and another little part. Each of those components by itself is completely fine. And then you put them all together, right? So, I mean, like, it's a crazy kind of, like, regulation that they're going to try to do, and it didn't work. It's never worked.
Are you guys familiar with like relay circuitry and stuff and how all that works?
No, man, I am not a spark chaser at all.
Link systems and stuff in the railway. No, that's what I do for a living. So. But
no, what's funny is that what I will tell you is that for the first time, the automation of the world is shifting away from like putting physical jobs at risk. So in other words, like when we mechanized the farming industry and a bunch of farmers lost their jobs and so few people farm anymore, this is that for
like we've automated pretty much everything we can with the signal system. It's just like I'm going like install stuff on computers, right?
But that's weird that exactly when they roll out AI, a bunch of tech jobs just fly, right? Microsoft getting rid of 80,000 people today. So
exactly, dude, exactly.
Is that a rumor though, or was that actually confirmed? Because it started from blind.
No, it's confirmed. This is
confirmed. It's 10,000 actually. They did have it on CNBC. So
yeah, I mean they released it on like reputable sites and like Bloomberg and Reuters and so forth, but it stemmed from the blind app where an anonymous I think manager stated that there would be layoffs, but it was never really confirmed.
Well,
I think it's expected. I don't think they have done it yet, but they are expected to lay off 10,000.
Yeah, because one manager was also saying, like, I don't know why these news places are saying 11,000, because originally their number was like 5,800. So I don't know what all these other, media presses started just going out with this rumor and just ran with it.
Also, one interesting fact about ChatGPT was that initially it was for non-profit. But like in 2019, they saw that, this is gold. We got to capitalize it. And then Microsoft invested like $1 billion and then they pitched to for profit.
This reminds me of like Skynet, that's all.
Yeah, it's It is 10,000. Sorry, I'm not 80,000. Correction there.
And I just got another breaking news. Jay Powell has COVID.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, buy puts.
Sorry, it just happened.
God save the king.
They can't raise interest rates if he dies.
I would love to hear why people feel that ChatGPT can eliminate tons of jobs. I can see how customer service, customer support can be more efficient if it's integrated with ChatGPT, right?
Everybody says technology eliminates jobs. They've been squawking about that since the calculator came on Texas Instruments and they brought it out. And what did it do? Created more jobs.
Exactly.
Problem
but
is everybody gets
only
an upgrade. People stop, mowing their lawn and standing in line at a cashier to watch people's groceries go across a stupid machine. All that gets upgraded. So now everybody's either a robotics technician or some type of technician for PLCs. Everybody works for Siemens. You get automated. You elevate. That's what's gonna happen.
But that's the thing. You see, this thing can replace two people in production and coding, because one good engineer will give it instructions and oversee it. So you don't need another two people.
The coding business is still pretty, it's brand new almost in terms of.
Got away from hydraulics. Oil and hydraulics and steel and all the little intricacies, the little pumps.
So what I'm going to say, like the closest thing I would look at this to is mechanization of like construction, right? So you're building in the, cyber world compared to building in the real world. Someone just basically said, hey, I invented the fucking crane, and you can lay off like half your construction workforce because some of these kind of like heavy lifting but just manual jobs can now be replaced. And
if you're in a big organization and you're coding, I would look out. I would look
started training. You're absolutely right, dude. It's not that it's gonna like make all jobs disappear. We're gonna have different jobs, but having different jobs means that people who spent let's see 3 years and a couple $100,000 becoming an accountant are suddenly going to have to find a way to retool themselves and still pay off those hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans they took out to become an accountant. And that's where
the government steps in on stuff like that. That's what the government's for. Say, hey, look, we know you got an accounting degree, and sorry we eliminated the accounting altogether as a function. But here's the deal: since you spent all that money on this, we're gonna switch it to that. But you can go to school for free as long as you maintain this grade average or whatever.
I saw with all the auto workers in 2009. I was going to school with them.
I mean, that's kind of the
accounting.
That's kind of what's been happening over the last couple of years, but it's not. No one seems to be listening to the part where we're saying like these jobs are going to go away. So like you got to let people go to school for free for some of this stuff during the interim, or no one's going to do it.
Well, if I give an example of Tesla itself as a company, it started when they started the Model 3 in 2018. The biggest drawback for Elon Musk was robotics, right? He went in all the robotics and it failed terribly because the parts didn't align. He had a misaligned car. Again, Tesla's cars are still terribly aligned. But worse than that is the fact that that's kind of the part where I feel ChatGPT's knowledge will start to play a better part, is better automation. So far, we've used neural nets to do one task really well. ChatGPT is joining the dots between one task and multiple tasks to get a bigger job done. Like if I have to walk, I not only have to lift my one foot up, put it forward, and then watch for a step. A neural net could not figure that out or join the dots between the step. It could move the foot forward, and if it was a step, you tumbled. I think this is where ChatGPT is helping close that gap, is kind of joining the dots between individual steps of taking just one step. Look for X, Y, and Z. And so the way I'm envisioning this is in the next 5 to 7 years is we're going to see more automation get better, right? I really can't imagine it coming and being trusted. If I'm a bank or I'm a high security business, I am not giving a computer the full access to build a code, because if there is a break, I have no one's neck to hold. Insurance is not going to say, "Oh, you gave the computer the access. Now it's your problem," right? I really think there is a place for this right now, because I even take the self-driving on Tesla, right? It's getting better and better with every passing month, purely because they have the data and they're joining the dots. But it's still not perfect. And it takes something like ChatGPT to say, "Great, let me Google." A simple thing when you spoke about fixing a faucet, or the robot that may be coming out 2 years from now from Tesla. The robot can do nothing unless it knows how to join the dots. To make a cup of coffee, it needs to pick the can of coffee, check if there's coffee in it, make sure the color of the coffee is brown and it's not something else, right? Could be sugar in a box of coffee, right? Or you may have kept the wrong box the wrong place. A prime example, I walked into Whole Foods the other day. No teller. I picked 2 gallons of milk and I just walked out the store by scanning my phone out. The old model of Amazon was cameras, right? You had to have the cart, you had to put it in the cart. This didn't even require me to have a cart. I just picked up the 2 bottles and I walked out. And it sent me a bill 4 hours later for the exact amount that I thought the milk was 9 something per gallon, $18 for 2 gallons, and I walked out and I was like, "Yeah, that's great."
Hey, can I make a comment on how to play this? It's actually very hard to play ChatGPT because the actual data set that was used to train it is not public information. It's owned by different companies, books. Some of it comes from Reddit, highly rated review, like peer-reviewed Reddit articles and things like that. So the best case scenario is companies that actually use OpenAI's data and their model, but ChatGPT itself will be very hard to do. You're better off just sticking with Microsoft as the play.
And I think OpenAI would be the biggest competition for Google right now.
Google, they're
Sorry,
right
go
now.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Google is releasing their AI, and ChatGPT. I think I think you've already said that. That's what I read too. That they're integrating into a search engine into Bing to compete with Google. So ChatGPT is gonna be like a new way to search things.
Yeah, but I think like he also raised a very good point that because they are trained with machine learning techniques, and of course like the data that which it is trained on has itself some inaccuracies or inconsistencies. You would see some faults because essentially like if you look at from outside, it's just a black box, right? And therefore you cannot specify which areas it is completely inaccurate or it's performing much better than any human being. I think it itself happened with what was it? What was the name of the chess engine? Deep Blue, right? So like during the 1990s, what Gary Kasparov found was like because it was, like an intelligent agent, it had some inconsistencies which like even like 1,000 elo player would identify. But since the engineers who created it, it's very hard to incorporate those peculiarities, if that makes sense. And that's what happens when you incorporate with Bing. I think it would be very hard to integrate with the search engine, such that there's no misuse of that sort of technology. That makes sense. Sorry, I just went on a rant.
Before we get too far away from it, you said you spent $9 for a gallon of milk.
Thus,
Jeez.
that's right. That's the whole food price for you.
That is wild.
Hey folks, as one of the person who works and builds this technology, in terms of stock play, it's fundamentally about getting more earnings. For example, it's a battle between the cloud, Amazon, Azure, and Google Cloud. And if you probably looked at the earnings from the last quarter, Amazon and Azure has both, Azure being Microsoft, has both peaked, and they don't have much place to grow there. And both of those areas are the biggest earnings for them. Like Amazon makes majority of their earnings from AWS than the retail side, and same with Azure and Microsoft, all the softwares. They have kind of peaked and they're trying to pivot to other areas. And same with Apple. You probably heard that Apple is going to ads, and Microsoft's trying the same thing, and they want to get ad revenue. Amazon is doing that too. So one of the ways, the biggest ad company is Google at the moment, and they want to compete with that, which is why Microsoft wants open chat GPT, and they're targeting more Gen Z because the the future generations prefer to chat with a bot more than search for articles because it helps them with universities and everything, and in a way more lazy. So that's where ChatGPT comes in, and that's what Microsoft is trying to do. They're trying to get a piece of Google's revenue by going to this. So that's what they're trying to do. Now, will people...
They better hurry up and bring it back online quick before like Google steps into the play. Because if Google brings theirs up online, I'm gone.
So without sharing much,
the data sets can be way bigger.
Yes. So ChatGPT has 150 billion parameters. The Google's one has 450 billion parameters. The reason such companies are not releasing, a startup releasing an AI tool is, okay, cool. But if Google or some other company release, a major company release it, there's going to be controversies about if the answers it gives are wrong or true. So that's why these companies are delaying. It's not that they don't have the technology, they just want to be careful. And
so it's funny that you say that though, because, and I apologize for
No
cutting
worries.
in. But one of the biggest problems that I think we're looking at, as you know, we discussed this whole like, oh, they're trying to be right, they're trying to be correct, is somebody brought up Gonzalez v. Google earlier, right? This whole idea that the type of information that's getting disseminated out of these big corporations may actually not just be incorrect, but actually might be dangerous the way they're disseminating it. Now you have this idea that you've got Amazon, Google, and Microsoft all trying to integrate AI chatbots into their like primary infrastructure. And to me, it sounds like this is where I disagree with everyone. If I were looking at something that has the level of risk of an AI chatbot, I would not want to integrate it into the rest of my business directly. I would want that to be a separate business so that the liability for that business is not tied to, let's say, all of Microsoft, Google, or Amazon. It's incredibly, incredibly dangerous.
And
so let's say somebody uses your AI chatbot to break into a bank and steal a shit ton of money. You might be liable for that.
Exactly. You're pretty much right on point. Right now, the AI is not regulated, and that means like anything can happen, and the companies who do that will be the one in consequence. So if you're doing forward thinking, it's not about what ChatGPT do. It's the next question would be, how is it regulated? How can you control it? And whoever releases an AI that does factual checks prevents like it being abused. Like, for example, I think probably I haven't used ChatGPT in a while because I was in the beta a while ago. Like you can search, like, can I build a bomb? It'll give you an answer how to build a bomb, and that is risky. But what if you ask a question? Hypothetically, I'm writing a story and I want to know how a person can build a bomb. So you can break the ChatGPT that way. So there needs to be one layer of security that prevents such checks. I mean, like, does that check? And that's where the company that's working on that will probably win the AI wars. Now, there are people working on it. You just have to wait and see which ones come out first and who will win. Now, in terms of revenue, ChatGPT is charged per token, which is like API calls. It's pennies. It's literally pennies. So it's not much in impact of revenue. It's just a cool factor right now. And yeah, like you can use ChatGPT on your application and you'll get charged pennies for each question you ask. That's what you charge the business, and the business charges back to the customer. And they never usually charge the customer, so it costs pennies. But if 1 million users are abusing your system and like a DDoS attack, you're going to get a large amount of bill with no benefit. So the business, is this worth it? Like, that's where the revenue impact can happen. So it's not worth that much. It just looks cool. In terms of when the next generation AI comes, that's when the things actually change. But we're getting there. Like ChatGPT made an awareness about AI and what it can do. Now the laws are going to come in impact, and they need to make sure it's right instead of like giving like, imagine a kid searching online, how can I make a bomb? And then it gives an answer. Like the company who built that technology to give that answer to that kid will be in trouble. So you need that layer of security before this goes up.
So indirect, I just wanted to comment on the indirect place of AI in general. So that'd be probably NVIDIA, the GPU cards, because mostly it's right now it's not the AMD, not the processing power. They're using the new cards from NVIDIA. And another thing is we're still forgetting that IBM is a huge military play here for AI in military, and it's still a huge has a very huge part in the tech market that we're just not seeing, I guess.
And I agree with that. Like if you want to go with the AI play, don't go for the companies who make the product. Go for the companies who actually power those AI technologies, like GPUs. They need fundamentally a lot more GPUs than they currently have to enable that technology. Now, I don't know how NVIDIA and AMD are going to play in that space, but don't go like that's where the profit margin is more than the actual end product, which is pennies.
There's no need to regulate it, even from the FBI standpoint, because it's real simple. Regulation is that if you're off searching for it, it's real simple for the AI robot to drop a hint to, hey, FBI, so and so at this location is asking about a bomb. You know, it's gonna eliminate crime real quick.
And currently there is nothing to do that. That's the issue. Like ChatGPT did, like there's been a lot of issues where universities, like students are copying and everything. Like there's a lot of issues coming out, and like companies like Google have this technology. They didn't release it to the public to face antitrust and issue laws like that. That's why they're delaying it. But when a startup releases it, it's like, oh, all hype. Like we can't sue. I mean, like they don't go after the small companies at the moment.
I mean, honestly,
it's even a better push for crypto, because it sounds like at a DNA level, they actually are developing it where on the chain, if one of the DNA molecules is looked at, it's based on light. Anybody that looks at that crypto destroys one of the molecules in the chain, thereby breaking the code. So, it's just going to make crypto that much stronger.
And in terms of the code it gives out, it's a lot wrong. Like as one of the person who works in one of this tech, it gives a lot of wrong code. Like it looks cool, like it gave a code, but like you can break the code and you can ask questions and it'll spit out the wrong answer. So, and the data set is based on human conversations like recorded on the internet. So it needs one more layer of factual check to be actually good enough for real life use case. And it's not there yet.
So I would debate that. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a coder. I specifically, and you're right, that the first sensors in code that it gave me wrong. But then I continued. I worked with it for 45 minutes, and it built the MACD, the indicator, pulled the stock quotes in R from Yahoo, and built me a chart and MACD. I would never in my life ever know how to do it. So I would debate here that it doesn't give the right answers. You just have to keep working with it until it does, because it gives I guess it is built like that. So the amount of time they shortened the amount of time you're getting the answer, because they're competing with Google, right? You're when you put something in Google, it'll come right away, and you have 10 answers, right? So for ChatGPT to write an essay on, for example, building an algorithm in R, that's going to be a book, right? So they're trying to shorten that. So those answers, the code, it's wrong, right? But I put it in, put the errors back into ChatGPT and say it doesn't work. I need to see a chart and I need to see an indicator. It gave me another code. I put that code back into the R, the program, the statistical program.
It is very good as a starting point. I agree with that. Like especially if you're non-program, it gives a very starting point, and it does improve over time. Like GPT-4 is like 2 years. They usually release every new version every 2 years. Just for if I remember right, Microsoft only has licensing agreement for GPT-3. They don't have for 4. So that $1 trillion parameter one, Microsoft doesn't have the license for it at the moment. They're releasing ChatGPT on Azure first. Now, think about the use case. What are you actually like? If you're a business, what are you going to use ChatGPT? Like, how can you sell ChatGPT to your products? That's where it becomes tricky, and it will cost you heavy to give that service. Are you going to charge for every question a person asks? So it's still like a vague area. In terms of impact, it's kind of like all hype at the moment, and it might die down. The only biggest impact I can say is like people might start using Bing, which is very, I mean, I can't predict like if that will happen if they implement ChatGPT on Bing, but nothing's stopping from Google from implementing on this. Like imagine you search on Google and on the side a bot answers for you at the same time. What's preventing from Google from doing that? Like they can release it like tomorrow if they want. They're just making sure it gives the right answer. And that's pretty much the play I can think. But if you want the bigger play, I would go for the semiconductors, which
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think
Point out.
they yeah, no, I was just saying they have to get right, because if you remember, like a few months ago, like Meta released their own AI bot, and it was shut down after 2 days. And because it was giving inconsistent, inaccurate answer. Like one of the users asked it, like, "Does vaccine cause autism?" And I think it replied, like, to explain, the answer is no, vaccines do not cause autism. The answer is yes, the vaccines do cause autism.
Exactly. That layer of security is what's preventing companies from Google from releasing it. Because imagine you search on Google that same question, you know there's going to be a lot of controversy news, and Google's preventing that from happening. That's why they never released it yet. But now they have pressure because of the hype. But realistically, these are the reasons why companies like Google has been delaying, because you don't want someone to search for vaccine and the answer it'll give autism. It'll create a lot of issues.
Yeah, I mean, like OpenAI can release it because they don't have any advertiser pressures from advertisers, but like Google is heavily reliant on advertisers. And
Exactly.
So,
and regulators, like Google is always targeted with regulators about like showing the right answer and for fake media and everything, right? So they need to make sure that they don't give out wrong answers, which is
but do you
why
think like
there's a delay.
regulators is a crucial part, like because like especially in United States, it's not. I mean, like big companies get easily away with it, but in Europe.
Whoever's the idiot that's going to try to charge for it, like you said, for the per question, that's the person that puts themselves at liability.
There you go. There you
You're
go.
giving
I'm
it
so
away for free, and hey, you're making it on advertising dollars because you got fucking TVs on the screen and little advertising blippets. You know, that's different. But you know,
Thousands of it's from AI, thousands. And in GitHub, Microsoft bought GitHub Copilot. They have an AI robot helping you with coding. The revolution is happening. Either we want it or not. This is not a hype. There's gonna be. I'm telling you, this is gonna be a new.
We want it. We want it. I didn't know it was that cool when I was actually asking these questions. It can literally, you know, I've had a lot of questions that it's almost like somebody was telling me how many questions you've already asked it. I didn't want to tell them how many questions I'd already, you know, kind of topics that I'd already tried to discuss with it. So.
Yeah, I agree. The technology is cool, but if you're looking for a play, I would like it can be either Google, Microsoft. I don't know if Amazon's going to try, and Apple's AI is really awful. Like I don't know. Have you seen Siri? But fundamentally, all three are powered by GPUs. So if AI is going to be a hype, there's going to be a requirement for more GPUs this year. Like if I'm thinking of a play, like
that's where you're at. GPUs is what's going to run that.
So let me ask you guys a question. Based on the strength and functionality that you have seen out of something like ChatGPT, what is the likelihood that a program like ChatGPT in its second iteration could replace your need for, let's say, AWS?
What do you mean by replace AWS?
As in, so where I think the biggest growth is for something like ChatGPT, or the biggest impact it's going to have, is going to be essentially kind of like replacing work that is technical that people thought they couldn't do themselves. So if I'm a programmer and I just got fired by, let's say, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and I wanted to start like designing websites for people, right? I could just have ChatGPT do all the legwork and do a little bit of QA, and I could pump out so many websites that are highly functional and very, very like user specific fairly easily. All right. And what is a chance that it's going to start impacting?
It's very low.
Do it. No, do it. Because now you've just created a whole market for yourself, and there's a whole job line. You just created.
It's very low.
No,
It's very low. The technology is not there yet for that kind of level.
Okay.
Like fundamentally, don't think AI as replace. This is the issue that I have with AI, and I work in this field in one of the FANGs. People think AI is just going to replace humans. No, I would consider it as AI assist humans more than like AI replacing
Yeah, it's gonna
humans.
be like your best friend. It's gonna be like, but I have an idea to invent it. It's gonna make millionaires out of a bunch of people.
I am rude. This is exactly what I'm describing, though. It's not that the AI is replacing a software engineer. It's that a software engineer is now using AI to compete with companies that are much larger than himself on almost equal footing.
No, it's not just Trash Panda. I mean, we were sitting there and we asked it. One of the questions said, hey, my 10-year-old's got a birthday party. What suggestions do you have? Advertisers now, you're talking about factual in my area. Oh, well, you have a bowling alley. You have this, 10 years old. He's at this age level. He can understand this many words. He's looking at the remote control cars type level or building an airplane. Or no, those parts are too intricate for him. He's probably better off at, a puzzle. The point being is that with AI, I've got an advancement to just buy into anything.
Okay, I am gonna give you an example of which jobs would be taken. Like, for example, I'm an immigrant. I speak very bad English. I need a letter. I need to go to paralegal. I won't need to go to paralegal and pay $200 anymore. The AI will replace that. I need to do a tax return. I just came into the country. I'm not gonna go to HBlock. I'm gonna go to ChatGPT. The bookkeeper will be
great. It's about time. That's
So
ridiculous.
that technology-
Ridiculous job anyway. Who the hell wants to sit behind and do somebody's paperwork?
No. Hold on. There is one danger to that, right? Which is that your outputs are only as good as your inputs. So if you don't know the right questions to ask, you're gonna get fucked.
No, but this is a tax form is so standard. Like
You are correct. If you go to Google and you ask it the wrong question or you're too broad your question, you're gonna get flooded with a whole bunch of fucking information. You'll get lost. So yes, you will have to be specific in your seek and ye shall find theory.
Exactly. What they do is they train the algo. So all those parameters, if you're in accounting, they'll train it only on the accounting solutions, right? So they won't train you on like how this ChatGPT general, what it did, it took photos of internet. It was going around taking photos, and out of those photos, when it was processing, it was acquiring information, and there was a huge amount of parameters that it worked through to give back the information. That is why you will get wrong answers, because it's trying to pull the information, but we're actually teaching what we are doing. The humans, we're teaching it. We're giving it feedback. Like you said, hey, that's not true. It was renamed. That company was, you know what I mean? What we're doing, we're actually teaching it. We're giving a
It will auto expand on the knowledge of us, and then the knowledge it gains on its own. So at some point, that data set has to be true, even if it has a cross reference and then gets away and says, oh, no, that data is no longer useful, or that fact is no longer a fact because it's been upgraded by this molecule or this fact.
So
got to check itself.
Started trading. Here's again the problem with that idea. We're assuming that the inputs are at some point going to be correct. No, the whole reason why I'm not super worried about ChatGPT being wrong or any of these AIs being wrong is that when you deal with human beings are wrong too. The real thing that matters is not whether or not ChatGPT gets it wrong, it's a frequency with which it gets it wrong. So if it is, like if you're running like a Six Sigma model, you don't give a fuck if you get 1% errors. What you're trying to do is get 99% accuracy. So
Exactly.
if you're dealing with a human being and asking them to do the same task, are they going to be more accurate than than the AI? And as long as AI has a greater likelihood of accuracy, it's already where you need it to be. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's going to get some stuff wrong, but and it's never going to be 100% right because we're not 100% right.
So here's one thing. Remember, ChatGPT is just a large language LLM, large language model software. I mean, program. It doesn't solve all those. So that's where Google has an advantage. They have solved a lot of these problems. They have tools that can do paralegal work. They use it in medical field, for example, in even doing cancer scanning, like in UK or any place. Like you need 2 doctors to verify that there has a tumor on breast cancer. Now they reduce it to 1 person, but one will be confirmed by the AI, the second person will be confirmed by humans. So you don't need 2 doctors. It saves time because doctors are limited and everything. So those technologies are not developed by OpenAI. They're developed already by companies like Google, and they have implemented that in the medical sector. So if you're just talking about ChatGPT, is a different tech. It's just one aspect of AI. Remember, that's why I don't think ChatGPT is that big of a deal. It just showed what AI can do to the public, but companies have been using AI technologies. Now, one thing, Google has made a prediction that by 2030, AI will enable 4-day work, which makes sense. Like you have less time. I mean, a lot of the tasks you do can be automated, so you can have a 4-day work. So those are the things that AI can help with. But remember, if you're just talking about ChatGPT and how it can disrupt the current market, there's going to be minimal effect unless people start using Bing for search and it eats Google's ad revenue, because 60% of Google's revenue comes from ads, and that comes from search. Now, if that goes away, then if you're talking about stock price, that's where Google would have an issue. But the more people use, the more they realize this doesn't give the right answer or accurate answer. And would people switch to Bing is the other question. I wouldn't switch to Bing just for ChatGPT. I don't know if anyone else would, but that's up to them. And Google's I/O event is in May or June, and they probably might release a product by then.
But we haven't tried it, so we don't know how you can't really compare, because you just assuming that it wouldn't be as good as Google. But that's not that's approximation. That's not what's we don't have the product yet.
Here's the cool factor. GPT, the T in GPT stands for transformers. Transformers is a technology that Google developed, and they open sourced it, so anyone can use it. So ChatGPT is basically a pivot from Google's own technology in a way. It's just, it just depends on there's a lot of hype around the technology, and I can't predict it. Like I said, if I'm going to make a play, it's always just going to be for the GPUs which power this. Microsoft, Google, and Apple, and Amazon can fight their own battles, but they all need the GPUs to power anything. They need servers, and GPU is what powers AI technology at the moment. And there's only 2 companies that do that right now.
Yeah, I agree. I like I said, NVIDIA, I would invest in NVIDIA for sure, AMD and NVIDIA. But even considering in 1990s, JP Morgan developed an algo that would run algorithm on NICE and put retail investors in a bigger disadvantage, which eventually, caused a big collapse in 2000. I was wondering, how this can affect the markets, the market makers, and obviously with new kids like Sam Bankman-Friedman, who can, he doesn't need the accounting. He can just make 30 billion right there. So how would it affect the markets? Because we know the flash crashes of the markets where within half an hour the market goes 30% down. It happened before in 1987, and I think after 2009, I think, or 2010, I don't remember clearly. And what I'm saying is, will it add liquidity to the market? Will it decrease? And how me as a retail investor who's been working all his life, how will it affect me?
But like specifically talking about market impact regarding like the GPU industry, I don't think Nvidia and AMD look very enticing. Primarily for the reason because like there's a stoppage of Moore's law um, in the GPU market. Like if you don't know Moore's law, it's like every 1.5 years the number of transistors increase. Whereas if you look at the GPU trend, the speeds are not increasing fast enough, and they have reached essentially a bottleneck. And so you have competitors like Intel who are catching up to the GPU market, and potentially if they are not able to maintain that high ground, other competitors might also jump in because it's such a profitable industry. But yeah, other industries, maybe some other people could talk about.
There's one thing about that too, about GPUs. Like a lot of these AIs can be developed by in-house GPUs. Like Google has their own one called Tensor, and they have their own proprietary GPUs that power their technology. So that's what Apple did too, right? Like Apple released their own M1 ARM chips for their Macs, and boom, Intel was in chaos, right? Like Apple's chip blew Intel's specs out of the water, and Google released their own phone with their own chip. The original iPhones were also powered by Apple's proprietary chip too. So these companies might diverse into building their own technology, and which is why TSM seems like a hot pick. Like even Buffett bought like about a large amount of TSM shares because it's being manufactured in USA now.
But like the tensions with China are like making it like a bit skeptical. And the other thing is like AMD currently is looking very good. Like they have been slowly conquering the CPU market and slowly even the GPU market.
So do you not think that the AI will have changes on the market that will either add volatility or it will add liquidity, or it will decrease the liquidity and decrease volatility? The markets will act in a certain way to a new technology, and that's been obvious through all the revolutions of the technologies, starting from 1800s, from steel and everything else. So I'm like I still what do you think in general how it will affect the markets? Will it add liquidity and volatility, or or it's going to be neutral? It will not affect the markets at all.
I think the market, there's three factors to a market, like how the market affects. One is like the technical aspect, which is like all the PE ratios and everything. The other one is psychological. That's where the hype comes in and people react according to it. And then there could be like huge technological break, which is this one. In terms of the industries, this effect is
market.
In terms of the industries, this effect is the GPU, it's the tech companies, and I don't know if it'll affect the crypto market because I don't think AI has to do anything with blockchain technology at the moment, working with both areas. In terms of how volatility, it's very hard to predict right now, right? Like even Tesla FSD, like imagine Tesla FSD. It came out like in 2006 or 2008. It still doesn't do the job.
Well, we're going to get back to some plays and stuff here.
Right.
In terms of play, like all I can think is the semiconductor industry. The tech one is like you can bet on one of the companies beating the
We've
other.
just been talking about tech and stuff, and it's been going on and on. I've just been like fading out here.
I think it's.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I'll drop down. Thanks a lot for the talk.
No, thank you. I was just about to say, I think it might be time to wrap this up if we're feeling like There's a lot of empty plays. I mean, generally we devolve into, just free talk near the end. We also have that on Discord, but when the plays run dry.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you though, because that was a lot of info for the chat and the gentleman that was representative. I don't know if he was from Microsoft or he works with Microsoft or something like that, but he's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was still a good chat. Lots to like research now for tomorrow, so it's a good jump off point for the week. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thanks everyone for listening in. We'll see you all tomorrow. Try not to lose too much money as the market is crashing right now.
J-Pass COVID, let's go.
Good luck to all. Bye.
Everybody.